Mics are live. Call this meeting to order. Welcome you to the April 13th meeting of the Board of Aldermen. Those who are watching online virtually, we welcome you also. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able, please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the preamble to the State of Missouri Constitution, we the people of Missouri, with profound reverence for the supreme ruler of the universe and grateful for his goodness, do establish this Constitution for the better government of the state. Invocation with Ted Martin.
Mayor, members of the board, good evening. Join me in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for another beautiful day in the Ozarks. Father, today we enter the spring season and thankful for the Easter weekend, celebrating the resurrection and working into the spring season of the tourism season of Branson, Missouri. Father, we thank you for our board, for those that have served in the past, those that are currently serving, and those serving in the very near future, as they, I'm sure, all love our city, but most importantly, love you. Father, we invite you in these chambers tonight as decisions are made, as discussions are held, that everything we do glorify and honors you. Father, we love you and praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Begin with the public comment section. Madam Clerk, do we have citizens who are signed up to speak?
Your Honor, we would like to call roll, please, first.
Yes, let's do that first. Why don't we?
King,
Present.
Whitus,
Here.
Simmons,
Here.
Akers,
Here.
Gaines,
Here.
Milton,
Here.
C.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Now we'll begin with the public comment section.
Your Honor, we have two people signed up tonight. Our first speaker is Audrey Richards, 265 Buzz Street, Branson, and she's speaking on appreciation for outgoing members of the board.
I take my mask off for speaking. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. This is a time of transition for our city, and before we turn that page, I wanted to acknowledge some of the work of our outgoing members. First, Alderman Simmons, you have been here basically as long as I have been attending these meetings, and your steady presence will be missed. Mayor Akers, you were dealt a very difficult hand in 2020, and you could have shifted the blame to make the situation better for you politically, but you supported the board's decisions, and you helped make Branson a safer place in such a difficult time. That sort of fortitude will be recognized when people look back on this time. Thank you for doing your part and staying true to your convictions, and when I get up here and speak, I always feel that you are listening, and as a citizen of Branson, I can't ask for much more than that. Finally, Alderman King, I think you're great. I think you are absolutely wonderful, and as a woman, as an IT professional, and it felt so good to see someone who has kind of similar ambitions and work history to myself, to see you up here doing such good work for us. And I'm sure it means even more to other members of our community. You show up, you dress nicely, and you always prepare thoughtful questions. And even with a shortened tenure, you found multiple ways to improve our community, and your successor has very big shoes to fill. So I hope that you can continue to be a positive force within our community, and to quote the immortal philosopher, Rihanna, they can beat you in an election, but they will never beat your outfit. So I am truly sad to see you go, and I thank you all for having done your best for this city, and I hope that those incoming members will also work and do what they believe to be best for the people of this town. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Douglas Clark, 121 St. Andrew Street, Branson, Missouri. Drills for COVID 2002, 2010, 2017, and 2019.
I've been coming down here for quite some time, even prior to COVID, and my concern in the beginning, back in, probably in September, October of 2019, when I started seeing some things in the journals of some of the Eastern medical community talking about what they would do if they had a pandemic like this. And the more you look, the more you find out that they have been prepping this since 2001 or before. Started out with the anthrax and the smallpox vaccine. If you remember, we had a big deal after 2011. We were supposed to be attacked biologically by smallpox and anthrax, and it was the same group, same people, same organizations bringing that to the surface. And so as a result of that, we had a thing here in Missouri that was a law that was passed called the Model States Emergency Health Care Act in 2000, debated in 2001, passed in 2002. Johns Hopkins University professor is the one that brought it in here to Missouri and got it instituted, and that's what we're operating on here now in Missouri that gave us the emergency. So after that, there's about 6 different drills associated with a pandemic of different types. Some of it was theatrical, they had actors, and they have every scenario that you could think of that matches up identically to how this evolved. And I'm not going to go into any depth in it, but they're 80 to 100-page documents, and they explain the psychology of this. They explain racial aspects of it. They were worried about, right now they've been worried about the black population actually getting the shot for several reasons. One of them in the early 40s, late 30s, they did some tests with syphilis at Tuskegee, Alabama, deliberately giving these people, mostly the males of that town, deliberately giving them syphilis. It's an agonizing death. And this is the same kind of community that's doing this stuff to us now, the same organizations and the same diabolical thinkers and the same people, And if you go back and you trail and you look at the progression of this kind of thinking, it's called eugenics and population control. There isn't any doubt in my mind after reading through this minutia for 30 years that this is what's taking place here now. Now, what's happened since we've got the vaccines out here recently, last 3 days, they've stopped the Johnson & Johnson because of blood clots. Just today on the news, they were talking about that. We had a big event up in Springfield that they had a mass inoculation, and this happens in 1 or 2 days after the shot. You have all kinds of reactions, primarily blood clots with that one and AstraZeneca. So, the players in this are the Rockefeller Foundation, Sloan Kettering, the Medical Industrial Complex, the NIH, the Mr. Fauci's organization, and these people are interconnected to the max. They own patents on the disease they've created. They own patents on the vaccines that they've created, and they're making money off of this, hand and foot. And if you don't believe it, I'll be glad to share this information with all of you so you could actually get a different perspective than what you've been told by our state health department, our local health department, the Taney County Health Department, because they're going and using the protocols of the World Health Organization passed to our CDC, the NIH, and the disease division that Mr. Fauci runs. Okay? Now, it's a hard lump to swallow to believe that we've been bamboozled here to get to the point we're at. And most of the problem that's being caused now is from the vaccines. The Moderna vaccine itself was basically funded by DARPA, a division of the Department of Defense, back probably 10 or 15 years ago. They passed this on to Moderna, and it was a gene therapy for cancer originally. Okay, they could never get that passed out through the FDA because it killed every lab animal they ever used it on. You have to have animal protocol testing before you can get it through the FDA and get it out in the public and put it in a commercial position. The other thing here on the other vaccine, Pfizer, it's the same type of vaccine.
Mr. Clark, you're almost to the end of your time.
Okay. They've had problems with every one of these. Johnson & Johnson also has a blood clot, and so does AstraZeneca. And, my whole thought on this is I don't like to see people get maimed and hurt The reason that I came down here is to lay some information for further
Your
investigation.
time is up, sir.
Okay.
Any other speakers, Madam Clerk?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. At this point in time, it's time to go to the consent agenda. Are there any items that the members of the audience would like moved down from the consent agenda that's been posted?
Mayor,
If any items from the audience, all
Mayor.
right?
excuse me,
Any
Mayor.
items from the board to be moved down?
Oh, sorry. I'd like to move item 8 down, please.
Yep, all right. There's an item on the agenda, on our, up here where we have item number 8 that's been moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. That is done. Madam Clerk, would you please read the items on the consent agenda?
Your Honor, the items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the Board of Aldermen minutes for the March 18th, 2021 study session and March 23rd, 2021 regular meeting. Acknowledge receipt of Board of Adjustment minutes from November 15th, 2018 and February 25th, 2021 meetings. Acknowledge receipt of Industrial Development Authority minutes for the March 1st, 2019 meeting. Acknowledge receipt of a petition for consent of annexation for the property located at 631 Shady Drive, Branson, Missouri. Final reading of Bill Number 5974, an ordinance amending the adopted 2020 budget for the City of Branson to adjust monies for an additional expense in the debt service fund. Final reading of Bill Number 5975, an ordinance approving the contract with Verizon Wireless for cellular, voice, and data services and authorize the mayor to execute the contract. Final reading of Bill Number 5977, an ordinance approving the renewal of the contract with Online Solutions, LLC, DBA, CitizenServe for a land management software solution and authorize the mayor to execute the contract. Your Honor, that concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
The floor is open for a motion approving the items on the consent agenda.
So move.
There's a motion. Second?
Second.
Second. Madam Clerk, would you please provide a roll call vote for the consent agenda?
King,
Approve.
Whitus,
Approve.
Simmons,
Approve.
Simmons, Skanes,
Yes.
Milton,
Yes.
C.
Yes.
Your Honor, the vote is 6-0, it passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're now ready to move to the regular agenda. Item number 8 from the consent agenda has been pulled down. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction?
Your Honor, this is the final reading, Bill Number 5978, an ordinance amending Appendix A fee schedule of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to technology fees.
You've heard the first reading of Bill Number 5978. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Second?
Second.
Second's been made. Anyone in the audience that's wishing to speak to this matter? Any alderman wishing to speak to this matter?
We get a staff report? No?
It-
Oh, just, okay.
He's here for questions.
Joel, my question is, and it's same as the question I had last time. When you explained the software cost $80-something thousand, and it is proven to be a great benefit and a great purchase. It has saved the city a lot of time and money, correct? And it also has saved the contractors time and money going through this software. What's in this bill is, or this ordinance, is increasing the fees to the contractors for the benefit of this software. And I understand it's a small increase. But I'm questioning if the city is going to be saving money also. And when I asked at the last meeting about why we would not look at how much it's saving the city, that may very well offset what the cost is to the contractors. And as I recall, the response was, well, we're going to raise the fee slightly to the contractors, and then we'll look at how much it's saving the city. And so I'm just raising the question again. before we raise fees to the contractors, I would like to look at this as a package and evaluate how much money the city is saving from this software. Because it's quite possible that we wouldn't have to increase the fees to the contractors.
I understand your points completely. It's a matter of timing. You all just thankfully approved our contract extension with CitizenServe under the consent agenda. So the timing of this item was to line up with that. Our goal with CitizenServe has always been to use the technology fee to offset the cost of that technology to the city, since it's done by users or contractors, as you mentioned in your statements. So after the first year, we had the benefit of seeing how many items came through the software and how much offset based on our initial fees that were established for building permits and planning items. We unfortunately fell short of hitting the recoupment amount that we were trying to achieve. So that's why we've brought this increase to you all for consideration. Again, our goal with this is a standalone goal of having the technology fee recoup our costs for the CitizenServe, so it doesn't have a negative impact on the general fund, so those funds can be used for other benefits to the community.
Has there been any, even at a higher level, any evaluation of how much time, man-hours it saved the city?
Sure. The Planning and Development Department has been able to reduce staff over the last couple of years for efficiencies. That's one of the things. We've lowered our review time, initial review time, from 15 days to 10 days because we're able to get into our review much quicker. Before CitizenServe staff regularly, that was located off the property on City Hall, would have to drive down here, physically pick up plans, drive back to their offices, and then begin the review. So there was at least a day on either end of that process that we were able to take out. When we first introduced the technology fee, we did lower our processing fee to help start that offset, but we truly believe this is a convenience still, even with the increase to our users of the software, because they aren't having to drive themselves down here with 6 sets of plans. They aren't having to pay FedEx to deliver those 6 sets of plans. They aren't having to print off those 6 sets of plans. So we still believe, even with the increase, that it's a benefit. And definitely when we look at Springfield, Missouri, just to the north, and their technology fee, it's still just about half of the amount that they charge up there. Theirs is about $45 for a minimum, going up to $50. So we definitely looked at that when we were looking at this increase, and we wanted to be mindful that it wouldn't have a negative impact, and we don't believe that it will at this point.
On that point, I think I read that Nixa Ozark, they don't have any fees for their IT. Did I read that right?
Yeah, they do not have listed fees for technology, but they also, I don't think, are utilizing technology like CitizenServe at this point. They're reviewing it, but I don't believe they're to the point where we are at this time.
Is it realistic to assume that, you said we saved actual number of staff?
We've done some reorganization in the Planning and Development Department, most recently with code enforcement going to police. We were also able to shift an employee into the Parks and Recreation Department with the dissolving of the tree board, I'm sorry. But over the last couple of years, we've also reduced 2 staff just because we've been able to do things a little bit more efficiently within our department. Again, we're not processing paper, we're not pushing paper around the office as much as we used to. It's all through this software. So that's where we've started with our efficiencies. And definitely this year, because it's been a significant amount of time, we will be reviewing all fees and looking for opportunities to adjust those as necessary.
The saving of the staff fees, wouldn't that more than compensate the cost of?
As I mentioned, again, we're looking at this as a standalone, just basically trying to offset the cost of the software itself. So we haven't expanded that review to the other staff time and fees and all that go into it. It's just a standalone fee directly associated with the cost of getting CitizenServe to help our citizens.
Well, I'm anxious to go through all of our fee structures.
Absolutely.
My personal opinion, I'm just opposed to increasing fees. Even though they're small, they start adding up. And I think that's something that I've heard for years, especially from contractors. And so I'll be voting no on this because I don't want to see to increase fees to our
Understood.
community. Thank you.
Mr. C?
Joel, I think you quoted to us that we were only recovering 25% of what we should be
Yes, sir.
getting back as far as on our
Yes, sir.
return. Where do you want to see that? I mean, do we want to shoot for the complete coverage of that, or are you looking to move it up a percentage?
Across the board, high level, the Board of Aldermen has passed a resolution in the past to try and recoup 90% of the city's costs for various requests that come through the city. So that would be, in line with that if we were to get to 90%, but obviously 25 is quite a bit off of that, so we have a lot of room there. But that goes back to, again, why we don't believe as staff that this small increase would have a negative effect on the overall big picture.
Right. So this increase, will it get us to 90?
No, it won't.
Okay.
And that's because Citizen Serve is utilized by the police department for one.
That's right.
They use it for citizen complaints as well as now for the lodging establishment program. So we do know there's a certain part of that contract fee with Citizen Serve that we aren't looking to recoup. There's not really a beneficial way to do that. So if we can get a 75% recoupment, we believe that's the number for this service.
Gotcha. Thank you, Joel.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Mr. Whitus?
Alderman Milton, I just wanted to let you know, when we discussed this before, I was one of those had trouble with it too, but I did reach out to a couple contractors that have done some work at our property over the last 8-10 years, and they said the process right now, they're much more comfortable with. They'd probably even pay a little more because being able to save, especially the time of review, it's 10 days, but some of them said some of their most recent projects have been turned over within 7 days, and they really appreciated that, and the fact that they used to have to make 6 copies, big copies of different things, the cost of those. The two I talked to said they they would be happy to pay this fee, so I just want to let you know that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Simmons?
Joel, the fees that you're recovering here, if you don't recover a good percentage of this as a user fee, then the general fund pays that balance. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the general fund is all of these people. So it's a user fee that those who are benefiting from it are paying part of it, and those that do not use it are not paying for that portion of it. So I just wanted to clarify how a user fee works, and it is those that are benefiting from it are the ones that are paying part of the cost, and it's a fairly small cost, and certainly this covers a great deal more than just the contractors and the permits. So a good part of that is being paid out of the general fund because it does benefit everyone. But this particular part benefits contractors more than anyone else, and the ones that I've talked to do think that this is a really beneficial thing. We had a lot of compliments on that when it first came out, so I think we're still within a very reasonable range.
Any other comments? Yes, Mr.
Oh, go ahead.
Joel, what is the total amount of cost per year for the software?
The contract that was just approved shortly, a small bit of time ago, was $37,500. And that's for 25 users across 7 departments, including Taney County Health Department. They have a seat in our software as well.
So you're only looking to recover what percentage of that?
75 is our goal.
What percent are we at now, to follow up with Jeff's question?
Last year, we were able to recoup about 25% of that cost.
That's all.
Any other questions?
Just to follow up, how much have we saved in salaries out of our general fund?
I don't apologize, don't know that number off the top of my
It'll be a
head.
number greater than 37,000.
Again, I'd want to take a closer look at before I provide an answer.
Okay. I'm fairly confident Jamie would agree that we would have a savings of over 37,000. So Alderman Simmons, I do understand the fact that the money does come out of our general fund, but if the city is saving money from an acquisition, just because contractors, and I agree with you, I've heard contractors say to me how much they appreciate this, but just because we have something and the and they're willing to pay for it, if our city has had greater savings than that, I don't know that it means that we should pass it along just because they're willing to pay for it, especially when the city is saving more than that amount. The mindset is just not passing along fees when we don't have to. So that's just a difference of opinion.
Any others? Madam Clerk, would you now provide a roll call vote?
King,
Approve.
Whitus,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Gaines,
Yes.
Milton,
Nope.
C.
Yes.
Your Honor, the vote is 5-1, and it passes.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is the announcement of the election results. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the information?
This is the certification of election results by Donna Neely, Taney County Clerk. The following is an official certificate of election results for the municipal election held in Taney County, Missouri on April 6, 2021 upon the following. For mayor, 2-year term, Karen Best, 507 votes, Marshall Howden, 15 votes, Ed Akers, 525, Amber Thompson, 18, and Larry Milton, 1,154. For aldermen, Ward 1, 2-year term, Rod Romine, 171 votes, Clay Cooper, 413 votes, and Jansen Crane, 69 votes. For Alderman Ward 2, 2-year term, Cody Fenton, 544 votes. For Alderman Ward 3, 2-year term, Julia King, 209 votes, Richard Allen Banks, 30 votes, Daniel Meenan, 19, Ralph J. LeBlanc, 22, and Ruth Denham, 490 votes. Additionally, you had 2 questions on the ballot. Question 1, shall the municipality of Missouri, Branson, Missouri, issue bonds in the amount of $93 million for the purpose of funding sidewalks, streets, highways, roads, waterworks, and wastewater, including distribution and election systems, and shall a tourism tax of 4.0% be imposed on the price paid or charged for rooms or accommodation for 30 days or less at hotels, motels, tourist courts, campground sites, condominium units, timeshare interests in condominiums, and the price charged for tickets and other charges for admission to or participation in private tourist attractions to repay such bonds or previously voter-approved bonded indebtedness and to promote tourism. Yes, 1,747 votes. No, 437 votes. Question number 2, shall the municipality of Branson, Missouri issue bonds in the amount of $93 million for the purchase of funding sidewalks, streets, highways, roads, waterworks, and wastewater, including distribution and collection systems, and shall a tourism tax of 0.5% be imposed on the price paid or charged for food and drinks sold in restaurants and other establishments to repay such bonds or previously voter-approved bonded indebtedness and promote tourism? Yes, 1,633 votes. No, 557 votes. This was certified on the 9th day of April, 2021 by Donna Neely, County Clerk. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will now go into the recognition of outgoing Alderman Bob Simmons and Alderman Julia King. Begin with Alderman Julia King. Julia, if you would join me down at the podium, I'd appreciate it. It has really been a pleasure to get to know Julia. When this process began, when Alderman McConnell resigned, a group of former aldermen and one mayor got together, met with each of the candidates, talked with them, asked questions, and the choice was Julia King. Julia King has done an excellent job of serving your city. She has served as a Board of Aldermen for 8 months. Very, very talented young lady with lots of gifts. She served on our Capital Improvement Committee, which is part of the Finance Committee now, for 8 months. And she served on the Transportation Development District Board for 8 months. At this point in time, I would like to recognize Julia by giving her a plaque that reads, "Presented to Julia King in recognition of outstanding dedication and service to the Board of Aldermen, 2020 to 2021, presented by the Board of Aldermen." Thank you, Julie. And Julie will make her comments from the dais in just a moment. Mr. Simmons. I think you can tell by looking at us that if Bob and I were friends as kids, that's a long time ago. I've known Bob Simmons and his family since they moved to Branson. Bob is a good friend. He's been a colleague at different things that we've served on. And it's a special time for me to be able to get a chance to recognize his 12 years of service to this community. He served for 12 years as on the Board of Aldermen. He serves as president of the Board of Aldermen. He served on the Advisory Park Board for 10 years. He served on the Budget and Finance Committee, served 7 years. For Capital Improvement Committee, served 3 years. Human Resources Committee served 2 years. Taney County Partnership served 3 years. Tax Increment Finance District, TIF Commission, 4 years. Transportation Development District, the TDD, served 12 years. And the 76 Entertainment Community Improvement District, CID, for 3 years. Bob Simmons, with his background and his education in accounting, has been invaluable to this city. He has given to this city his knowledge and his background and cared for the citizens' funds as if they were his own. I appreciate what Bob has done for this community, and mostly I appreciate being able to call him friend. Mr. Simmons. The plaque reads, "In recognition of outstanding dedication and service to the Board of Aldermen, 2009 to 2021, presented by the Board of Aldermen." And now she wants to take a picture, and then you individually. Thank you.
I thought you were taking it back there. As the acting president of the board, I would like to be the one to present Mayor Akers with his plaque. Mayor Akers has served on the Board of Aldermen for 2 years as mayor. He's on the Budget and Finance Committee for 2 years, the Capital Improvements Committee for 2 years, Human Resources Committee for 2 years, Outside Program Assistance Committee for a total of 2 years, Branson Landing Transportation Development District for 2 years, and 76 Entertainment Community Improvement District for 2 years.
I'm going to read most of this, Ed, because I spent some time writing this. So, as Ed stated, we've known each other since 1955, so we're fairly familiar with each other and served on many boards together over the years. So basically, reading these various positions, a tremendous number of hours go into this, of course, for anyone. The mayor does not have to sit on all these committees. The mayor does not have to chair these committees. But the mayor, plus as the two previous mayors, Mayor Best and Mayor Presley, all decided to sit on all of these committees for continuity and communication with the city. It's a big benefit to have them do that. It's a tremendous strain on their time, and we appreciate it. When Ed started his term, I was looking forward to more opportunity to plan and look forward, because I know from past service with Ed that he's very talented in those areas. He's done that for many organizations here, and he's done it for the whole area for many years. So we were due an update on our 2030 plan, and I thought this is perfect timing for Ed to come on the board at this time. And it would have seemed to have been, although we got to some early discussions, we never really got to doing the update. I'm sure they will. I hope that'll come fairly soon, and it is in the works. But more important things came up. And we, less than a year into his term, why the pandemic took priority. It took priority for the safety of the community, and it took priority because of the budget cutting that was necessary. Our original estimates, which were actually very good, were a 45% reduction in most of the revenue for the city. The city services are very heavily driven by wages. So a 45% reduction, had we not had good reserves at the beginning of that, we would have been in very serious trouble. We would not have been able to provide the services that we were used to providing. So that became something that had to be a high priority. And then the city itself, with the reduction in the tourism, not only was the city losing the tax, but the businesses were floundering and trying to stay in business. So the shutdown for the first couple of months was devastating to everyone. And I think we all saw what could happen with this when we had that shutdown. We came back about the 1st of June, and the mayor and the administration worked tirelessly, meeting weekly with all of our local health people, our health department, our medical boards. They talked to them constantly. They updated us constantly. They brought us speakers to study sessions. They brought us speakers to the board meetings themselves. All those were public sessions to try to get us as good of information as we could get. At the beginning, as I'm sure you all realize, this was extremely confusing. We got very poor information from WHO, the World Organization. We got almost as poor of information from CDC. So we were kind of left on our own, floundering along. And the health department, local health department, local medical experts were the people that we looked to provide information. They brought all of that to us, and that's really the job of a mayor. The mayor doesn't vote unless a tie. And so the mayor is to make sure that the information that is needed from the right people come to the Board of Aldermen so that they can vote, and that they will be as informed as they can possibly be when they do vote. And they did a wonderful job of that. Unfortunately, there was no black and white answers. There were a lot of information and a lot of misinformation, hard to determine which was which. But they did get us as much information as possible, and as an alderman, I certainly appreciated that. So you can look at it, we'll be evaluating what happened for years and why, but basically, we were able to stay open once we reopened. That was a major thing. We took some risks to do that. Who knows what's going to happen? It depends on who you read and what. So we took some risks. The theaters, we were the only ones last year in most of the United States that had live theater shows anywhere. We had some problems. A couple of theaters did have problems. They quickly, on their own, shut down for 2 weeks, went through the period, and came back online and handled it very responsibly. So it was It was a good experiment from that standpoint. We came through it with people at least being able to stay open. We came through it with them being able to cover part of their costs. We came through it with the jobs being saved for a good number of people. Certainly not all people, but a good number of people had jobs that wouldn't have had we stayed shut down. And so, Mayor Akers, I know when you started your term that you stated that you thought this is where you were supposed to be. And I appreciated that. You made that comment publicly several times. And I don't think you were thinking what was going to happen because none of us knew what was going to happen. So I think you were right. I think you were the right person to be mayor, possibly in the greatest year of crisis in recent history in Branson. And you handled it calmly. You tried to get all of our information in. You gave us the best chance that we could have to make as good a decisions as we could make in the circumstances. And I can't possibly thank you enough for your guidance and your sacrifice for your community. At our age, you were living a comfortable retirement, and you decided to come in and take this mantle because you thought it's where you needed to be. And it was, but not for the reasons that you originally thought, I don't think. So there's no way we can repay you for that, but we are going to give you this nice plaque that says, in recognition of outstanding dedication and service to the City of Branson Mayor, 2019 to 2021, presented by the Board of Aldermen.
Ready to move on to any comments from aldermen? If none,
No, sir, I have some.
oh,
In public service, you very seldom, if ever, get accolades for anything, but you do get blamed for everything. That's part of the business. The community as a whole owes a great of gratitude to everybody who serves on these and other boards, because I know you and I served together for 5 or 6 years on the tourism district. You as chair and me as the secretary. And I appreciate Bob, who is one of my extended neighbors. He has been a blessing to be able to go to and have discussion about things that he knows within this community. Bob, you're going to be sorely missed, believe me. Alderman King, you have been an excellent friend and a great public servant to this community. Anybody who serves under the circumstances that we've had to be serving under, especially if you read the Facebook comments that are out there, we appreciate you. I don't agree with them, and I thank you for your service and your time and your loyalty and your good heart. I thank all three of you. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
anyone else? Oh, Julie, you got something?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm going to start with Julia. Julia, when we first met, I was so impressed with your level of knowledge and your professionalism, how you carried yourself. I know we didn't agree on everything, and that's okay. We had the respect for each other's opinion, and I think our community is better off that you served. Mr. Simmons, you are a cornerstone of this community. And when I say were, you are a cornerstone of this community. I appreciated serving with you on the Budget and Finance Committee. I know not many people may know this, but when Bob, shortly after Bob being on the Budget and Finance Committee, he came up with a request for a report, and at all of our meetings, it's known as the Bob Simmons Report when we refer to it. thank you very much for your service. Mayor Akers, you have led the community with your heart, and that's very obvious to everybody. I'm going to follow up with Bill Skane's comment. Facebook is Facebook, right? So I just want to disregard the majority of what has been said. Do you agree? Yes? It's been a pleasure working with you, and I am hopeful that you will stay involved and provide this community with your knowledge and experience. Thank you.
Any, Jamie?
I just want to say thank you. This was my first year, and to serve Ward 3 with you, Julia, it was a pleasure. I appreciate you. The initiative you took with the trash pickups was really good for our community at that time, and I appreciate that. I just want to thank you for your service. Alderman Simmons, in more ways than one, you are the rock of this community. Rock, concrete, you're the guy. So you have been aggregate, rock solid, and it has been a pleasure. I've known you for many years, and to serve this year with your outgoing year, it was indeed a privilege. And I thank you. Mayor Akers, I appreciate serving with you. A 2-year term, and 1 year was the toughest that will ever be seen. And I appreciate your leadership during that time and all that you did in your role at that time as mayor, and I appreciate you.
I'll keep mine real short here.
All right, Jeff.
Me and Julie have already talked offline, so she knows where I'm at. And with Bob, you know, he doesn't say much, but when he does, it's usually right, and people listen. And I call him Yoda, you know, not necessarily the Rock, but Jamie beat me to that. And Ed, it's been good knowing you before this, and I appreciated your service. It was tough for you. Good luck.
Thank you. Now, Alderman King, would you like to make your statement?
I would, and I'm going to ask that everyone allow me some time to not just appreciate the alderman and mayor that I've served alongside, but our City of Branson staff and employees. In order for Branson to be successful, the City of Branson staff and employees have to be successful. And I'm going to take a few minutes to honor them and show them some love. Can we appreciate our men and women in the Branson Police Department tonight? Chief Matthews, he cares about the culture, he leads by example, and that's why his team safely handled protesting events that took place in Branson. They recently located a missing 3-year-old child. I've had Springfield City Council tell me personally that they envy and they are jealous at how efficient our Branson Police Department is. Can we recognize our men and women in fire and rescue? Chief Martin, he's bona fide, he's loved by all, and I found out not too long ago he's pretty good at mini golf. Fire Station 1, 2, and 3, under his leadership, can provide high-quality fire rescue operations to Branson. It's so important that we protect our wastewater treatment plant from flooding. Can we recognize our utilities team? Mike Ray, he's thorough. He has a deep knowledge of what it takes to keep water and sewer safe for Branson. The utilities team under his leadership has done a fantastic job operating our surface water treatment plants, groundwater wells, and 2 wastewater treatment plants. We need to find innovative ways to maintain city infrastructure, streets, and buildings. Can we show some love to our Public Works and Engineering team? Keith Francis is forward-thinking and committed to keeping our city clean and safe. Just recently, the Public Works and Engineering team has rolled out a brand-new Report a Road feature, and it has been a big hit. We all know how important it is, especially trying to recover from this pandemic, for Branson to be financially conservative. Can we recognize our finance department? Jamie Roosh has a picture of herself in the Webster Dictionary next to the word thorough. She is always willing to educate anyone with questions, and the finance department has stayed true to priority-based budgeting and is successful at handling licensing, billing, tax collection, and more. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's really cool when someone can look like a supermodel on the outside and be all brains on the inside. Can we recognize our communication manager, Melody Pettit? Melody is articulate and creative and ahead of the ball, and she is the most effective communication manager that Branson could have. Anyone in here enjoy fishing, camping, and sports? Let's recognize Parks and Recreation. Huge thank you to Cindy Shook. She's professional, pleasant, another financially conservative individual when dealing with vendors and contracts. The Parks and Recreation Department keeps Branson enjoyable for residents and visitors. It's very important that we were able to stay connected throughout this pandemic. Can we show some love to our IT department? Chad Forrester, intelligent, can-do attitude, makes it look easy, but I know better. The IT department can successfully provide networking and communications to the city of Branson. Development is good for Branson. Can we show some love to the planning and development team? Joel Hornickel, unbiased, thorough, and provides us detailed information to help make the best decisions. Planning and development has a tough job, and it's going great with annexation, zoning, special use, and special events. It's very important that we avoid legal pitfalls and receive good legal counsel. Can we show some love to our city attorney, Chris Lebeck? Chris does an amazing job at providing legal counsel and supports all departments and our Board of Aldermen. It's also important to offer competitive salary and benefits to these wonderful individuals. Can we show some love to the Human Resources Department? Jan Fisher crosses every T and dots every I while ensuring our employees are well taken care of. The Human Resources Department, under his leadership, has consistently provided a full range of employee benefit services. It's also crucial that we get accurate, up-to-date, real-time reporting information on COVID metrics in Taney County. Can we recognize the Taney County Health Department? Lisa Marshall is calm during the storm, professional, positive, and thorough. The Taney County Health Department has been extremely organized and efficient with vaccine management. I know we all appreciate having access to all information regarding our Board of Aldermen meetings. Please show some love for our city clerk, Lisa Westfall. Lisa is dedicated. She has the patience of Job. She's kind and meticulous. As our city clerk, Lisa wears several hats within the municipal court, and keeping aldermen on track is one of them. It's important that we have someone lead, manage, and foster City of Branson staff in a positive, productive environment. Can you please appreciate our Assistant City Administrator, John Manning? John Manning is a veteran, a retired colonel, and wanted you to know that he has extraordinary good looks and a charming personality. Those are his words, not mine.
And blind.
I'm going to list off some credentials here of someone who I think has done a wonderful job. He's been a police officer for 40 years. He's a certified firefighter for over 26 years, holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, a master's degree in public administration and sociology, graduated distinguished from the FBI National Academy, worked in government for 42 years, and he'd probably tell you his most proud accomplishment is being a married father of 4. Please show some love for our city administrator, Stan Dobbins. Stan Dobbins is a man of integrity. He's fair, he's consistent, he's a straight shooter, and we're lucky to have him. If we want Branson to be successful, we need our City of Branson staff to keep succeeding. I ask you to support them, to pray for them, and bless them. And last, I want to encourage everyone here and everyone watching to stay engaged, stay safe, and love one another. I love you all. Thank you.
Ed just tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Can you follow that?" And the answer is obviously not. That was wonderful. And every bit of it true. I think I've been on here for 12 years and 2 years on the Finance Committee before that, and been in Branson since 1955. So I'm very familiar with the city. The city had no problems up until the 1980s or so because the city had no money. You couldn't expect the city to do anything for you. They couldn't patch holes in the street. They couldn't do anything. They didn't have any money. So there weren't many problems. But then it's become a huge business. And part of it is a business, water and sewer, et cetera. And we've got some of the best staff. They've constantly improved over the years. We've got new people that are better qualified. We have old people that have been here that have continued to upgrade themselves. And I've been very impressed all along. Listening to them and letting them take the lead is really what it's all about. The aldermen aren't here to run the city. They're here to oversee it, hire an administrator, and let them run it. And that has worked extremely well for the city of Branson. These people are dedicated. They are just really, they come to work every day to serve the public, and that hasn't always been true. That part hasn't been true. There has been a time in the past when the public was considered as an obstacle, keeps them from doing their work. But that's not the case now. Every employee comes here to serve and do their job, and we're tickled to death to have them. I have sat here for, like I said, 12 years. It's been very interesting. When you're old is really the only time that you really have the time to do a job like this, because it is time consuming. And these younger people, I really don't know how they do it, do full-time jobs and do this. So it's been amazing. I've been very impressed with Julia, because not many people would have been willing to come on the board at the time she came on. This was really troubling times and a lot of passion and emotion, and to step right up and set into that and become professional is I don't know how you could be more impressed by that. Ed, I've served beside him, and I've always admired him, and I really did think that we would get some good benefit out of him for planning and advanced planning for the area, not just the city of Branson, but for the whole area. And we didn't get a chance to do that, but the chance is not missed. That will go on. Almost everything that happens here crosses administrations. And so it's how good a succession you have of people as to how good a city you have. And we carry on like the water and sewer plant here that is really critical to us. If we were to have a big washout down there, the damage to Branson and the economy here would be, you couldn't estimate. It'd be almost as bad as the dam breaking, really bad. And that started, Mayor Best really started with the administration working on grants to do that. Mayor Akers worked tirelessly. And anytime you're working for grants, you've got to work at it every day because the situation changes every day, and you've got to keep pressure on it, and you've got to keep working it. And he's done that. And we're almost there, but it'll have to be continued on the next, and it will be. That's how things get done in a city, and it's not one administration. It's a combination of succession of administration. So I've enjoyed this, and I sure thank you for the trust that Ward 1 has put into me for these last 12 years, and I've tried to earn that. Every decision may or may not have been correct, but it's been made for the right reasons. I can assure you of that, and I just appreciate being allowed to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. I get to be last. I don't think I'll be real long, but I want to share a couple things with you. I really appreciate Julia recognizing the staff the way she did. You don't have a large business, and that's what the city is, run efficiently without good people. And I've been very appreciative of the staff, and that's been the joy, one of the major joys coming in and serving here, is getting acquainted with people who get things done and do their best for the right reasons. When I came into office 2 years ago, this was the oath of office. I, Ed Akers, do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law of the office of mayor, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri, the provision of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of Branson, and will faithfully demean myself while in office. If you look up the word demean, it has two different definitions. One is to talk down to someone, to put them in a place that's probably not very good. The other is to let yourself be all you can be in leadership. And that's what I've tried to do. There are many folks who don't really understand what a mayor does, that don't understand the responsibilities that are there. It was mentioned earlier, I only vote if there's a 3-3 tie. But my work has been to try to do what I think is best for the future of the city of Branson. What were we doing a year ago from now? What was happening a year ago? We were shut down. Nothing was going on. There were a few vital services that were available. But where are we today? This community has come back in a way that I never believed could happen, because people came together and made good decisions about reopening so that we could stay open and that people that were here could continue to have some jobs. But the real key is not what we thought here locally or what we did here locally. It's what the people in Kansas City and St. Louis and Dallas and other places that come here and spend their money, where we get over 82% of our income for our community from city taxes. That's our source. If those people didn't believe they could come here, or they couldn't come because of the restrictions in their own home area, that affected us. But I think what you're seeing is that people are being respectful of the efforts we've made, the things we've done to try to keep this city open and the people who work for a living employ. There's not a church in this community that doesn't depend on donations. But if people aren't earning a living, they have nothing to give. If people aren't available to be able to be here. So my challenge, I guess, toward the future is to let's rejoice in where we've come. Let's be joyful about where we've come. And the negative and the sadness that's in our community needs to understand how far we've come compared to other communities. I have businesses in this town that have told me they have friends all across the nation who are out of business. They're out of business, but they're able to be open. That's the joy I have, is knowing that some small part, working with these folks, we were able to keep this place going. And I hope that will be the focus, not on individual things, but on the big picture of Branson being a safe place to come. We've now been recognized as the 4th safest community in the nation by Forbes Travel. How did that happen? How did that happen? That happened because people came together and worked hard to keep Branson open and to let people see we were trying to keep them as safe as possible. So the future is our reaction. It's our attitude that we have to have. Thank you all. It has been a trip. Coming in with all these things I would love to do and like to do, and seeing all the things that I needed to do to help our community. And I appreciate the cooperation and help that has been given. We don't always all agree, but I think we all agree we want our community to be better. And it can't be better unless there's some joy in it. Do I have a motion for the Board of Aldermen meeting to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Madam Clerk, would you please provide a roll call vote?
King,
This will be my final approval.
Whitus,
Yes.
Mr. Simmons, Alderman Simmons,
Yes.
Gaines,
Yes.
Milton,
Yes.
C.
Approved.
I was hoping for a 3-3 tie.
Meeting adjourned.
We are adjourned.
At this time, we're going to start our second meeting, and it's my pleasure to give the oath of office to the new alderman and mayor. It's been my pleasure to do that for a lot of them, so I'm appreciative. So we're going to start with our mayor, Larry Milton. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Larry Milton, do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of mayor, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of Branson, and I will faithfully demean myself while in office. Congratulations. Clay Cooper, Alderman, Ward 1. I, Clay Cooper, do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Alderman, Ward 1. That I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of Branson, and I will faithfully demean myself while in office. Congratulations. Cody Fenton, Alderman, Ward 2. I, Cody Fenton, do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Alderman, Ward 2, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of Branson, and I will faithfully demean myself while in office. Ruth Denham, Alderman, Ward 3. I, Ruth Denham, do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Alderman, Ward 3, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of the state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of Branson, and I will faithfully demean myself while in office. Congratulations.
I'm going to call this meeting to order. We'll do the, Madam Clerk, we'll do the roll call.
Denham. Present. Gaines.
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
Milton.
Here.
Benton.
Here.
Whitus.
Here.
C.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Next, we'll move on to election of the acting president of the board. Nominations are now open for the acting president of the board. I nominate Cody Fenton. Are there any other nominations?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Alderman Gaines.
Okay. So the mayor will be voting on Cody Fenton and Alderman Gaines. So by writing their choice on the ballot provided, the city clerk will read the results, and the nominee received the most votes will be approved to fill the position. Please vote. Do we have the, there you go.
We had nominations for Cody Fenton and Alderman Bill Gaines, and I will read the results. Ruth Denham, Cody Fenton, Bill Gaines, Alderman Gaines, Clay Cooper, Cody Fenton, Bill Gaines, Jamie Whitus, Alderman Gaines, and Jeff C., Bill Gaines. Alderman Gaines will be our acting president.
Congratulations, Alderman Gaines.
Or condolences.
Yeah. The first item on the agenda is, I just want to address a few things before we get to that first item. Let me start off briefly talking about our public comments in our Branson City Code. It's Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-70, Paragraph C, and it reads, "The purpose of the public comment is to accommodate members of the public who have comments regarding city business that the board has jurisdiction or authority to take action on. Any person wishing to appear and speak during public comment shall sign the speaker sign-up sheet located at the front door of the council chambers. Each person wishing to speak during the public comments must personally sign the speaker sheet prior to the opening of the board meeting and shall provide their name, address, and topics to bring before the board. No person shall be allowed to speak who did not personally sign the sheet requesting the opportunity to speak. If any person signs a speaker sheet on behalf of another person, such action shall be a breach of the decorum of the public meeting and shall be dealt with accordingly. Each speaker must present comments regarding city business only and shall have a total of 5 minutes within which to make their comments. The mayor or board may address any issues raised by any speaker at any point during the meeting without counting against the speaker's 5-minute time limit. There may be an additional 5 minutes for comments and questions from the mayor, board, or city staff directed to the speaker for the speaker's response. A person may only speak one time per public comment. Items raised under public comment may be referred to city staff. No question shall be asked a board member except through and with the permission of the presiding officer. That's what's in our city code. Although the mayor has the authority to make decorum rules, this mayor is currently choosing not to do that. Let me explain why. One person, the mayor, sets decorum rules. That feels to me to be more of how a dictatorship operates. Codes, on the other hand, are decided by the entire board, all 6 aldermen. Decisions made by the board are how a democracy operates, and I believe in democracy, even if it goes against my personal feelings. So, our public comments portion of our meetings will revert back to our code that has been approved by the full Board of Aldermen decades ago. This mayor and your Board of Aldermen are your servants. To address item 1 on our agenda, I want to be very clear with this message. If this ordinance passes, I will encourage and fully support any business that chooses to continue to mandate masks. I will support anybody who chooses to wear a mask. This ordinance is not saying that a business does not have that choice. I believe it's all about choices. So any business that chooses to continue to mandate masks, I'm going to ask every one of you to show respect for that business. If you choose to go in that business, you must wear a mask. I liken it to no shirts, no shoes, no service, right? We respect those rules at a business, and I'm going to expect everybody in our community to respect that. Last Tuesday's vote, in my opinion, I believe the community was crystal clear and sent a loud message to City Hall. So, I'm going to allow each alderman, if they choose to share their opinions on this agenda item before we hear public comment. Any alderman wish to speak?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Denham?
I'm happy to see the ordinance to repeal the mask mandate on this agenda for a double read. I feel that the forcing of a mask is only a symptom of the main problem, which has been government overreach. I'm not for or against a mask. I'm completely against it being mandated. The decision to wear or not to wear should be up to each individual. In fact, the CDC even states that when a pandemic is called, a face mask is considered a medical device. I don't believe anyone on this board has the authority to prescribe. The decision lies between the individual and their medical professional.
Can I? Yeah. Well, I've been in this fight for a year since this all happened. I mean, you all know that I was at every every meeting and got up and spoke in all the meetings. And, you know, in the beginning, when this all happened, you know, it was 15 days to slow the spread, and then it was, you know, 30 days to flatten the curve. And, you know, when we get a vaccination, well, I think all those things have been accomplished, and we're over a year into this now. And like the mayor said, you know, if people want to you know, they want to require masks at their business, that is great, because that's what it's been. By lifting this mandate, we're not taking away the right that you have to wear one. We're just giving people the same right to choose not to. And I think that's what it's been about. I think that's what I've been saying from day one. You know, that we've been labeled as maskers and anti-maskers, and I'm not an anti-masker, I'm an anti-mandator. And there's a difference. You know, I know everybody's been, you know, there's frustration and there's anger and there's passion. I got up with all those 4 or 5 times last year. As you know, I lost my mind. Sitting around
I'm still not going to kiss you.
Yeah, Clay. I know. But I did, and I spoke. I don't, and I apologize for that. I don't apologize for the passion and what I was saying. I apologize for speaking out of order because it was wrong. And I know all of you are passionate about this. There's frustration about this. You just want a choice. You want to make a choice to wear the mask or not to mask. And when this is gone, I'm not throwing my mask away. I'm still going to keep a mask on my gear shift in the truck because I never know when I might need that. If I'm around somebody and they're obviously they're nervous or they're wearing a mask, then I'm going to respect that and put a mask on. And I think that most grown adult Americans are responsible enough to notice if somebody is nervous or you need to be extra cautious around somebody. I'm not throwing the mask away. I'm not having a mask burning party. I'm gonna choose to wear the mask when it's needed, and I want to choose to not wear it when it's not needed. And I think that's what it's all been about. And since I got VOCA, if I may, Mayor, you know, I've been performing in this town for 35 years, and I've made a living by applause and people liking me and liking what I'm doing and loving, you know, oh, Clay, so, you know, this and this and that. That's what entertainers do, you know. You're on stage for the applause and people to like you. And then I signed up for politics and found out not everybody likes me. And that was hard for me for a little while. I mean, seriously, I was like, man, there's a woman on Facebook that does not like me. I'd never had that before. And that's okay, you know. Some lady on Facebook said, you know, I love Clay Cooper's show. I saw him. I've been watching him 20 years. He's my favorite show in Branson. I tell everybody, go see the Clay Cooper show. I always thought he was a nice guy, and now I realize he's just a fake nice guy. And I got online. I said, ma'am, I'm the same guy that you've watched for 20 years. Because you have an opinion or your politics is different than my politics, in my opinion, does not make either one of us not a nice person. It just means we have different opinions. I mean, Nate Horseman in the front row, he and I see things totally different, but we have conversation, we text and send messages all the time. And we totally don't agree on politics, but I respect him and he respects me. And I think that we can all do that. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what our politics are. We all have opinions. We all have politics, but we can still be cordial and respect one another. And I know that a lot of these aldermen, I mean, I just want to get this out if I can before people get up and speak. A lot of these aldermen have been verbally attacked. Some have been threatened. Sitting on this board, we've all been attacked in some form through Facebook or someone showing up where they shouldn't be showing up and threatening these aldermen's families, and that's not cool. It's just not. So I just, you know, I don't want to be anti-maskers and pro-maskers in this community. I just want us to be Branson citizens that have different opinions and move on and have the right to make the choice that we choose. That's all. Thank you. This is my man right here.
Alderman Fenton?
apologize for my hand shaking down there. Don't tell anybody about that, right? At least they threw us a softball tonight, huh? Night one. They gave us an easy one. I know a lot of people are curious what I think, where I fall on this. We'll figure that out tonight, I suppose. I've lost a lot of sleep. I've struggled. I've prayed. I've talked to my wife. I've talked to anybody that will let me talk to them. Because it's one thing to say what you would do, right? It's another when you're sitting up here, and that was part of my, it's a heavy thing. When you're taking that oath, it's a heavy thing. I've been sworn in before the Missouri bar. I've been sworn in before the Arkansas bar. That was probably the most nervous I've ever been. It's something that I don't take lightly. I know this is a very, very, very important issue to our community. At the very beginning, I told people, I made one promise. I'll listen to everybody's opinion. I'll listen to what everybody has to say. I'll take it in, and I'll come to a decision that I think's best based on the information before me. That's all I can do. That's all I can ever do. A year ago, a little more than a year ago, I was in those seats. Apologize. I was in those seats arguing against a shutdown. I had just got back from vacation with my family. I had a lot of fears, concerns. I had no idea if my business was going to survive. I had no idea. None of us did. None of us had any idea. And I began my comments that night by saying I wasn't envious of any of these people having to make the decisions that they had to make. I never thought I'd be sitting here a year later, if I'm being honest with you. From the very beginning, I think Clay brought this up, from the very beginning we were told, slow the spread, flatten the curve, let's all do our part to sort of spread this out, right? We don't want huge spikes in numbers, we don't want our hospitals overrun. And I think we did that. I mean, we shut down our businesses. That was tough. That was a very tough thing for us to endure as a community. In July, end of July, the mask mandate was put into place. And again, it was that same, slow the spread. So let's slow this thing down. Let's don't let our hospital and our community be overrun by this, right? So the question I've struggled with and what I've lost sleep over, for those who do care, is have we achieved that? And for me, it all comes down to just looking at the numbers, right? Looking at the numbers. I look at those numbers. I see our infection rate being very low, our hospitalization rate being very low. This is not a political issue for me. I'm trying to set that aside. I mean, I have my personal politics, my personal beliefs. I'm trying to set that aside and do what I think is best for the community. I'm encouraged by our numbers. Our vaccination numbers continue to increase. People that want a vaccine are able to do so now. Governor Parsons has opened that up statewide to anybody that wants it. I don't think, I'll go on the record and say I don't think as a government we should require that. I think that that's something that's a personal choice, just like a mask is a personal choice. This is a lose-lose situation, as I see it. You're going to have people, no matter what side you're on, you're going to have people that are upset with this decision. So I don't, unfortunately, and I don't mean any offense to anybody, I don't celebrate this. I am hopeful and looking forward to the mask mandate ending, but I don't celebrate this. This has been a tough year. It's been a tough year on businesses. People have been sick. People have died. People in our community, our friends, our neighbors. So it's with a heavy heart that I find myself on night one having to, make this decision. I certainly won't be having a mask burning party, and I told Mayor Milton, who I've just really kind of liked, don't tell anybody else that. He's,
Nobody's listening.
yeah, right? He and I've had a lot of conversations here lately, and I, I knew very few of these people before going into this process. I didn't come into this to be a part of, I think, people saw my Facebook post. I'm not a part of any groups. I wasn't part of any allegiances or anything like that, but I've had an opportunity to get to know Mayor Milton, and I think anybody, kudos to the aldermen that did serve, Mayor Akers, those of us that are sitting up here tonight. We're doing this out of a love for our community, a love for our neighbor, and we're doing this because, we want to try to make the right decisions for our city. There it is. Thank you.
Is there any sort of motion on the floor? Can I do something here, or?
We don't have a motion on the floor at this moment.
Okay, can I make something?
Um,
I would just like to, and here, I'd like to make a motion that we put this off because I got several emails today that, and our system still has emails of the current board, the previous board. There was emails that came through that didn't have Alderman Fenton, Alderman Denham, or Alderman Cooper. There was people that I think we also owe it to Lisa Marshall to have her give us, with all that we've been through with her, to have a report from her, have her involved, have her update us. And I don't know about most of your businesses, but we're coming off one of the biggest marches we've ever had, and April's off to a great start. And a lot of that is the older people that are coming here now and the Forbes magazine article. And so I would just like to make a motion that we put this off for the other 2 weeks, just so everybody can get their current stuff.
Okay, so.
Madam Clerk.
So if I can just bring us back around, let me get this item out.
Yeah.
Let me introduce the item. Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 5979, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 2021-0032 and amending Chapter 58, Article 10 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to communicable diseases and face coverings. Now, Alderman Whitus, this would be a much better place, I'm sorry,
Okay.
to
Nope,
go
that's fine.
ahead, we're on the floor to go ahead and make that motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that this be amended for what I mentioned for earlier, so all the current aldermen can receive emails properly and communication, and also,
Can I interrupt you for just a second? Can I help Lisa out here?
Yeah.
What you're motioning, I believe what you want to motion is you would like this item tabled for 2 weeks?
Yep.
Or until the next council meeting? Is
Till the
that
next
what you're
council
saying?
meeting.
Okay, so I'm hearing a motion to postpone this meeting, this item until April 27th. That's 2 weeks. Is that what I'm hearing, Mr. Alderman Whitus?
Yes.
So a motion to postpone Bill number 5979 to April 27th.
Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second.
And so at this time, we would be ready for discussion on the postponement. We're discussing a motion to postpone to April 27th.
To postpone only?
Yes.
Yes. Any aldermen have input, comments?
I'm just asking.
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
Hold a second. Listen, we're going to hear from you, for sure. I just wanted to get a couple house cleaning things done up front. I wanted you to hear what the board's thoughts and opinions were. Then we're going to get public input. The aldermen will then address their thoughts, and then we're going to go to a vote. So right now, we're following procedure, and right now there's been a motion and a second to postpone this for 2 weeks. Any aldermen have any discussions on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I have a question for you. Alderman C., is it your position that you're wanting to hear from the medical personnel? Is that basically the bottom line of it? Yeah, I tried to get them here. I think it was too late to try to get anybody here for this meeting. And there's been some action today from both Cox and Taney County Health Department on some different things that have come up and they're addressing right now. So I just think that everybody in this room, including us, should hear them in person, and we all get the facts, the statistics, and the opinions at the same time.
Now, there's new rules. We're going to keep respectful. We're not going to talk over each other. Please respect the process that we're going through. Right now, the aldermen are having a discussion whether they want to postpone this for 2 weeks. You will have your voice heard. Any other comments from the alderman?
If I may, I suspect we won't hear anything. I understand what you're saying. And I have concerns about the businesses. You and I have talked about that a lot. How we got to make sure we give businesses the appropriate time to decide how they're going to handle this. What's corporate going to require, what have you. That's something that Mayor Milton and I have discussed. I watched the March 23rd meeting, I think it was. I don't suspect we're going to hear anything new other than we need to keep the mask mandate in place. So I will be voting no on a postponement.
Okay, and this isn't the appropriate time, but just to share my thoughts. When we vote on this motion, I want everybody to know that Alderman Fenton did reach out to me, had a great suggestion. What the ordinance that's written right now says it's effective immediately upon passage. To be fair to our business community, I will be making a motion to make it effective in 48 hours. That's only fair for businesses. If it was immediate, you can imagine tomorrow morning, right? So I will be making a motion on this ordinance to make it effective for 48 hours. So right now, are there any other comments on the motion that's on the floor?
I agree with Cody. I think we're going to hear the same thing we've heard time after time. And again, I'll definitely be voting no on the postponement.
Any other comments? Hearing none.
Your Honor, you probably will want your public to have discussion,
Before?
but it's only on the postponement. It's not on anything of if we're going to move on or not from the April 27th, if we're going to let that go through or not. So it's a very tight discussion, to be fair to everybody.
Okay, then I'm going to recommend then we need to first put this motion on the floor, have it seconded. I don't think
We have a motion on the floor to postpone to April 27th, 2021, and we have a second. We've had discussion from the board.
Okay.
And we let the public discuss, just as the board did.
Okay.
Very limited discussion.
Did you hear those instructions? We don't want this to be an 8-hour meeting. Right now, if you have input, and the input is restricted to the 2-week postponement, then we're going to open this up for public discussion. If you want to speak, come up to the mic. Please give your name and address.
I'll make this really brief. I'm Jansen Crane. I live at 2958 Vineyards Parkway. I was prepared to speak on the amendment, or on the actual bill, but I'll just say when I was sitting there and somebody said to postpone it, my watch went off saying I had a high heart rate. So, I need to get up and say something real quick. Alderman White has said that the purpose is to get more input from emails that are waiting. I just wanted to bring up that in one of our forums, Mayor Akers even mentioned that there is no way to tell if these emails are from the community or if they're from somebody over in California or New York. So even Mayor Akers himself said that the emails are not an effective form of communication on this issue. So I think that we all made our statement last Tuesday, and I think that it just needs to continue from there.
Thank you, Jensen. Any more public comment? Oh, I'm sorry, come up. Yes, please.
You know,
State your name and address, please.
Camille Lombardi Olive, I'm running for Senate. I actually live in Galena, but since I'm running for the whole state, and I come here all the time, I spend thousands of dollars a year in Branson because it's an important business area and it's the closest one to us. I'm just going to say one thing. To me, delay means the next meeting it's going to be, well, you know, it expires the end of May anyways. The point was, when you mandate a rule that requires me to wear this, you're also taking away my freedom. I wear a mask only because I could put a message on it so I could keep my First Amendment intact. You know, I'm not so opposed to it, but I hate it. I do, I hate it. Because you're telling me what my health care is going to be. You're taking away the freedom for me to decide, do I need an injection? Do I not need an injection? Do I need a mask? Do I not need a mask? You're taking away my ability to make decisions on my own body. And I'm not trying to put a liberal spin on it by saying my body, my choice, because I don't agree with pro-choice in that aspect of abortion. But I do believe in pro-life as to I'm choosing my life, how I want to live it. I want to choose my own health care without somebody telling me, oh, you can't get that treatment because we've decided we're going to mandate this other thing for you. That's taking away my freedom. The government of this country was instituted by the people, and it needs to stay that way. To me, a delay means you're going to push it to the end of May because you're going to say it's going to expire anyways. So I'm saying we want the freedom to choose. We're not saying, oh, change everything and let's wait for the medical. I'm saying give us our freedom back.
Thank you.
Just real quick, William Large, 235 Meadowbrook Lane, Branson. I just want to bring up what Mr. Say brought about delaying this for 2 weeks for more information. You know, that's almost like saying we don't want our freedom in the comments that you made recently. I think that is just ridiculous. I think it's up to the individuals to make a choice whether or not they want to wear a mask. If you want to wear one, I'm not against it. If you don't want to wear one, I think it should be a choice. Very simple.
Thank you very much.
Doug Clark again, 121A, St. Andrews. Believe it or not, there's a comment in the Bible about masks.
Excuse me, Mr. Clark.
Yes.
We really just want to address the 2-week extension.
Okay, well, it's something people need to think about.
But we'll have public comments on the ordinance itself.
Okay.
We haven't got to that part yet.
Well, I feel the same way. I mean, I think it ought to be, this was a statement here, the vote was a statement, and that's what we expect to have happen from our people. That is a representative republic. It's not a democracy. It's a representative democracy. So if we believe in what our system was designed as, this is the way that it's supposed to work. So
Thank you, sir.
Hello, everybody. I didn't prepare any remarks tonight because I
Name
wasn't
and
planning
address,
on.
please,
Oh,
Nate.
my bad. Nate Horseman, 2550 State Highway 248, Branson. I didn't prepare any remarks today because I didn't feel it was going to be necessary. Apparently, that's not going to be the case now. So literally about 2 hours before we started this meeting tonight, I got some information that I was trying to confirm before the health department closed, and I was also trying to confirm with the Cox Medical Center. I don't know this 100%. I have to confirm. There's rumors that the new COVID B19 variant is now in Taney County. 2 people. Laugh all you want.
Please.
Facts are facts when proven. As far as the 2 weeks, you know, I don't think it's out of the ordinary or unnecessary. Literally 14 days ago, we had members of the health community, the health department came in here and they said all they need is just a little more time to get vaccines in arms. We're sitting at about 20% in the community, Taney County, in vaccines right now. The ideal number to get to, 60, 50 is acceptable. All we're asking is just May 24th, it's 6 weeks. I mean, I guarantee you the majority of people in this room that are against the masks, if they in this right now, tonight, 48 hours from now, you're gonna take them off, you're not gonna wear them. So then we have all this group of people in the community that aren't gonna wear the mask. I hate the mask. I've said it numerous times, literally every single time I get up here and speak. I hate the masks. I don't like wearing them myself. I do it because it's the right thing to do to protect our neighbors, our community, our citizens, and the health of our community. The hospitals, the health department, they've been working tirelessly for 13 months to get us to the other side of this. And I think it would be an insult to them to not give them the opportunity to speak about where we are at right now. Yes, we just got an election a week ago. 2 weeks before that, we were gonna end this on May 24th. I'm good with that. May 24th, I'm good with that.
Excuse me, Nate.
Give the health community the opportunity to have their input. I think we should at least hear from them.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barb Milham, 272 Heritage Estates Road in Branson, Missouri. I just have one thing to say about this. Everybody was made aware of this meeting tonight. Everybody knew that the mask mandate was on the chopping block. If Taney County, the health department, had something to say, they should have been here.
Thank you.
Hi, y'all. My name is Tina Cooper, and I live at 101 Rose O'Neill Drive. I just wanted to say that we've done what's been asked. We've slowed the spread. I'm sorry, I'm just really emotional right now. We have flattened your curve. We have done the vaccinations. We're providing those for people that are wanting them, and right now, so many places have them, they can't even get rid of them. We have Walgreens calling us daily to ask us to get people over there before 5:30, and we offer that to every single employee, every single time. Please, we shoot out a huge text to all of our employees. Go over there if you want the vaccine. Please get it if you need it. We are doing everything we can, personally, I know, at our business, and I'm sure there are other businesses. We are trying to respect everything we can so we can get rid of these masks. When is it going to stop? When are we going to be doing enough? What is enough? Can somebody at least tell us what enough is? Because we thought it was slowing the spread. Then we thought it was flattening the curve. Now we think it's the vaccine. Can somebody on this board tell us when it's going to be enough? That's just all I'm asking. Because I have anxiety. I have a lot of people that have depression. My box office has staff members that cannot wear these. It makes them nauseous right now. I'm trying to give them social distancing so that there's 2 people working downstairs and 1 person working upstairs. I'm doing everything I can to help those people that are going through other issues that don't have to do with needing to wear the mask, but because it's causing them illnesses wearing the mask. Come on, peeps. Let's work as a community.
Thank you, Tina. Aldermen have any other comments before we vote on this motion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call vote, please?
At this time, we're voting on the motion to postpone to April 27th, 2021. Denham?
No.
Gaines?
Yes.
Cooper?
No.
Benton?
No.
Whitus?
Yes.
C?
Yes.
Your Honor, we have a tie vote of 3-3. Your Honor, please vote. Thank you.
I am voting no.
The motion to postpone has failed.
So we have the motion on the floor.
We need to get the second motion on the floor now.
So we have.
Okay, I would like to make a motion.
No, wait, we have the first reading of the bill on the floor.
Yep.
So I need a motion. You've heard the first reading of the bill. Do I have a motion approving the bill?
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a first and second.
You're right, correct.
Okay, I'd like to make,
Your Honor, it would be better if somebody else would want to make a motion as the chairperson, as a.
Per Robert's rules, you, as mayor, are not permitted to make a motion.
who's Robert?
I'd like to find him myself.
Any other alderman would like?
You're not permitted to make a motion or to second a motion.
There you go. I'm out.
So we have a motion and a second. It's time for Chris LeBag.
What's that?
So, is it time for Chris?
Madam Clerk, I don't understand. So what are we doing?
If you would explain to me what you would like to do, I could help you through that.
I'd like to make a motion to get this done. That's what I'm gonna do.
So to interpret,
All right.
you would like to make a motion to amend the ordinance to make it effective 48 hours from this evening.
That's exactly.
I thought that's what I heard you say.
This city administrator is also a mind reader.
Do I have?
Second.
Before we go there, please.
Yeah.
So this ordinance in Section 5, Bill Number 5979, Section 5 reads, "This ordinance shall be in full force and immediately after its passage by the Board of Aldermen and approved by the mayor." We would like to change that to read, the amendment, "This ordinance shall be in full force and immediately in effective 48 hours after passage." Would you like to put a time on that? Because 48 hours from, I'm not sure what hour we're at. Would it be maybe at midnight on a certain day or something like that? Would help businesses?
I'd like to make a motion to amend to expire 48 hours to expire at 12:01 on Friday. Is that right? Midnight, AM, yeah. Does that make sense?
Friday is April 16th. This,
Midnight Thursday, yeah, 12:01, so whatever that is.
Thursday, the 15th at.
Please, I think you're wanting to say basically Friday morning at 1 minute past midnight of
Yeah,
Thursday.
12:01,
Okay.
yes.
12:01 a.m. on.
12:01, April 16th, this bill will become effective.
Can I chime in, Mr. Mayor, just to help Alderman Cooper?
Do I need help? I'm just kidding.
I think
With this amendment, just so that's clear for the audience and everybody, we're looking at line 59 of the ordinance. This is on section 9, so the motion would read something to the effect of, I want to move to make an amendment to line 58 and 59 to read, "Now, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately after its passage by the Board of Aldermen and approval by the mayor at 12:01 a.m. on April 16th, 2021.
That's correct.
That's what you're trying to get to.
Yes. So do I have a second?
Second.
I need to open up for public comment. Madam Clerk?
We're open for discussion, yes. On the amendment only.
Okay, we're open for discussion on the amendment only to have this in effect upon passage at 12:01 a.m. on Friday, April 16th. Okay, seeing no public comment, do we have a second?
Yes, you need discussion from your board. If anybody would
Discussion
like
from
to-
the board?
If I may. When I first talked to Mayor Milton about this, I had suggested maybe 7 to 10 days. So this is a little bit different. That's fine. My chief concern, if you look at places like states like Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, they just did this recently. Cities such as Joplin, Forsyth, places where this is going away, they've done it in such a way where the public and the business community sort of has a chance to prepare, right? We've been doing this since July. I know that folks are ready to see this go. I know, but again, there's folks that are ready for this not to go, and we've got to be mindful of that. My biggest concern was if we turn this thing off like a light switch, does that leave our business community, out on a limb? Do they have the support they need in order to, to make sure if they still want to have these policies, or if, as the case with Tanger, you have stores over there, they may have to run it up the corporate chain and figure out what are we even supposed to do. So my thought process was, we've been doing this for a while. I was trying to be very mindful of the business community and the fact that they're going to have to make decisions. Shows are going to have to make decisions. Attractions, everybody's going to have to make a decision. If this thing goes away, how are they going to address it? They got to think about liability. They got to think about there's just a whole host of issues that businesses are going to have to decide. And I just want to make sure they had enough time to think through this if this does go away. So that was I know there's a lot of folks that wanted to see this be done immediate. And I understand that and I appreciate that. And it's not falling on deaf ears. But I also think, I've seen some feedback, if you will. And I know it's Facebook, right? But I've seen some comments in the last couple of days. I don't think it's anybody here. You guys seem like nice folks, but people that this suggestion that we want to boycott or maybe harm certain businesses in town that continue to do this, and I just don't agree with that. I really don't. I've expressed this with Mayor Milton. This has been the thing that's been tugging on my heartstrings the most. Is I don't support that, and I resent the fact that my vote tonight, depending on how I vote, could ultimately be associated with that, because I think we've got to support our businesses. If they want to continue having a face mask policy, I think we've got to support them. We've got to come together. We've got to heal the divide in our community, and we have to say we support you and we respect your ability to make these decisions, just like we're asking to be able to make that decision individually, right? These businesses have the same right to do this, and I think we've got to commit to each other. And when I asked Mayor Milton, when he called me to consider this, I said, I have just a few, sort of things I'm struggling with, and one of those is just, making sure we support our business community. If we get rid of this, mandate, my concern was what ability, if there's an issue at a store, what ability do the police have to go and respond to that? And so that was just my process, my thought process for anybody that cares or want to know why I had made this recommendation or request. Again, I think I am, and I get the sense from the folks here, the people that voted last week, the people that have reached out to me. I have been contacted by more people in the last few days, and I really and truly appreciate each and every one of you, everybody that shared their thoughts. I promise you, You can ask my wife. I could not fall asleep last night. This has just been something that I want to make the right decision. But I think part of that is we've got to be willing to support our medical professionals, the folks that are trying to get these vaccines out to people. We've got to be willing to support our businesses, our tourists that come here. This is just that's important to me. So that's my thoughts, and I'll quit rambling on. I apologize.
Thank you, Alderman Fenton. I know when we had discussed that, I went back and looked at our previous ordinances, especially the ordinances that this board, or excuse me, the previous board had passed regarding the mask mandate. And when we passed those were in effect in 48 hours after passage. So I think the businesses were in a similar position then where we passed it and we gave the businesses 2 days to adapt to the new ordinance. Any other Alderman comments?
Mayor?
Yes.
I agree with Cody on this. 48 hours isn't a whole lot. You know, a lot of the people, it's been in the press, it's been out there, people are talking about it on Facebook that this is ending on the 24th. So that's sort of been the benchmark for when all this is done. So moving it from the 24th to 48 hours from now is probably not enough time. So I don't know if Cody had something in mind. Are you talking, 10 days, 2 weeks?
Mayor, may I?
Go ahead.
I don't know how much time for me, I'm just gonna take a sign down. No, I don't mean that disrespectful. I'm just saying, and I honestly think that a lot of like Tanger and a lot of the bigger stores are gonna keep this in place, more than likely. So I don't think there's a lot of preparation time that's needed. Because I'm just saying, because most of the bigger companies in town and a lot of the moms and pops are probably gonna keep this in place. So I don't know. I don't think that there needs to be a lot of time to make that change. That's just my opinion. And I would like to follow up to what Cody said. When businesses do require to keep the mask in place, which I think a lot of businesses will do that, and that's fine, that we do need to respect that. We don't need to walk up and go, I don't have to wear a mask in here if I don't want to. We need to respect that. And if you go up to a theater and they say, you have to wear a mask, then you need to decide, do I really want to see this show bad enough to see a mask? Then I'm going to put a mask on, or you're going to go somewhere else. So, I'm just saying, I really hope that we can be responsible and respectful enough to honor the decisions of those businesses that choose to require masks and follow their requests. And if you don't want to put one on, then go shop somewhere else or go see a show somewhere else. That's all.
I know we're talking businesses, but we also need to consider our local schools, because they're gonna have to do some things, and I think they need a little extra time too, to communication. I appreciate the respect, everybody, I really do.
We need to show respect.
But I think we need to consider our schools too, and that's why I think a little more time.
So just to clarify, Clay, I don't think you were taking a shot at me.
No.
Yeah, and I know you weren't. The 24th was at the request of the health department and Cox and the people that I did talk to in that amount of time. And it was more about vaccinations. I'm not saying we need to hold off to the 24th to give people, the businesses, that much time. So the 24th is,
I got you.
Is the vaccination.
I got you.
Any other Alderman comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The whole community of Branson has had a year to think about this. And I believe in being fair straight across the board. If 48 hours was given to businesses, everybody really knows what they want to do at this time. Most people know what businesses. 48 hours I'm in agreement with, because it gives everyone the same opportunity they had when this started. And it is huge government overreach, just huge government overreach to be getting involved with private business. So let them compete, let them run their businesses how they would like to run their businesses.
Any other Alderman comments?
Alderman Milton? Yes. I'm sorry, Mayor Milton, sorry, Mayor. It takes a while. I really appreciate you. I want to echo a little bit of what Cody said. Almost all the calls, I'd say 95% of the calls I got from business said, please give us a little time to chew on this and run this stuff up and down the corporate ladder, which is totally different because I know you guys may not understand it, but these are business owners that contacted me. They weren't somebody's employee. They were business owners, and they just wanted some time. And I don't know if 48 hours is going to work or not, Mayor. I don't know, but they just asked us. And these are major businesses in Branson, you know. They want some time. And I know they communicated to Cody. They've communicated probably just about all of us. Just give us some time. Because we all want this thing to go away. There's nobody sitting at this board up here that's married to these things at all. I want to see them go away. But let's just give those businesses some time, and the wisdom of this board can work that out.
I agree with that. I just reflect back on, this was a discussion when we first put the mask mandates in place, and in the ordinance, businesses had to have signs made, you know, to go certain words and colors and sizes, and how they were going to handle their internal. And so I just felt comfortable with the 48. The businesses were given 48 hours to put this into place, and they adapted, so.
But just along with that, a lot of the businesses were able to use the city ordinance that was put on the website and have those printed up and used.
Sure.
Now they're gonna have to develop their own different ways, so, golly, I just love respect these people.
Listen, I am not above emptying this room if we're going to show disrespect. We all have opinions. I know there's a lot of passion involved with this, but we're going to show respect. So, I believe we're ready for a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, would you take the vote?
The vote is, or the motion is to make this effective at 12:01 a.m., April 16th, 2021. That's what we're voting on that amendment. Denham?
Yes.
Gaines?
No.
Cooper?
Yes.
Benton?
Yes.
Whitus?
No.
C?
No.
Your Honor, we have a tie vote of 3-3. Would you please vote?
My vote is yes.
The motion passed for the amendment.
I would now like to open up this for public comment on the ordinance with the amendment of taking effect at 12:01 Friday the 16th, 12:01 a.m. Is there any public comment? Oh.
I was in Joplin on March 1st, when they lifted.
Excuse me.
We need name and address,
Oh,
please.
Camille Lombardi Olive, Galena, running for Senate.
Excuse me. Hi. Would you mind if we took a bathroom break before we started the conversation?
Well, mine's going to be short. I'm just saying, I was in Joplin when they lifted it.
Okay, go ahead.
I was in Joplin March 1st when they lifted it, and you guys, it's like you're thinking everything's going to fall apart, we're going to all act bad, and it was smooth. I didn't even know that they lifted it. I went there and people, some were wearing masks, some weren't, and I'm like, oh, are we supposed to wear them or what? And they go, you don't have to. Well, I chose to wear one. Walmart still had it, nobody had a problem. Aldi still had the mask mandate, nobody had a problem. Why do you guys think Branson people are going to act so bad? You know, we're just like everybody else. You know, in Joplin, there was no protest. You know, they didn't go to businesses and say, oh, I'm not going there because they need a mask. If they asked for a mask, they wore it. We didn't have a problem with it. So I think you guys need to give a little more credit to the people that live here because they're nice, they're respectful, and we don't try to break the rules like that. I just thought I'd point that out.
Before
Thank
you leave, would you give your name and address, please?
Oh, Camille Lombardi Olive, but like I said, I live in Galena, but I'm running for Senate, so I spend thousands here every year. So I'd love to see Branson flourish.
Just need your address.
789 Everest Road.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
If you don't mind, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Thank you. Calling this meeting back to order. We will pick up where we left off, and that is public comments. When you come up to the mic, if you would, leave your name, state your name and your address, please.
My name is Robert Hutchison, 124 Trafalgar Lane, Branson, Missouri. And I'm going to keep my comments short. I believe it's about freedom, and all I want to say is thank you.
Thank you.
Jansen Crane, 2958 Vineyards Parkway, Branson, Missouri. I just wanted to briefly say to those that have been on the board before and we have voted differently on this, I just encourage you to reconsider one of the comments that was made in one of the very first meetings was how Silver Dollar City has implemented mask mandates and all of that, and we need to follow their example because they're a big employer in the area. And so I just want to mention that we can still use them as an example. They announced yesterday that they're no longer requiring masks at Silver Dollar City when you're outside. So if you just continue to follow their lead, they repealed it immediately, so we can do the same thing.
Thank you. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. With our new decorum rules, aldermen may be able to ask questions to any speaker.
Mr. Crane, please. But you said that Silver Dollar City repealed their, run that by me again?
They said yesterday that you no longer have to wear a mask when you're outside at the park. So you still have to inside buildings, but previously it was you had to wear it anytime you were on their property, and now it's optional anytime you're outside.
Okay. And as I understand it, our ordinance doesn't require it outside either, correct?
Ours requires it inside buildings and anytime you can't social distance.
It requires it outside? Is that what you're, I'm asking what your interpretation is.
No, my interpretation is just that it's required for businesses and anytime you can't social distance. That was what I had heard.
Okay.
But Silver Dollar City was used as the example for why we should mandate it because they required it. And they've amended theirs now, saying that there are now multiple exceptions, one of the main ones being outside, which is 90% of the park. So that was just the example I was using.
All right, thank you.
If I may, I think that he was trying to, the point you were making is that Silver Dollar City lightened their restrictions yesterday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they don't check the temperature anymore.
Did they
Bo?
not?
Bo Yeager, 106 South Drive, Branson, Missouri. Couple points here. You talked about a time frame. I'm pretty sure, and I'm not speaking on behalf of businesses, but thinking logically, most of these businesses have had a year or whenever our mandate went in place to make the decision on whether this is what they like and what they don't like. Another 48 hours, I don't think is a make or break deal on they already having their minds made up of what they want. If that's not the case, and you lawyers can discuss it as far as why can't certain businesses put, for liability cause, put not responsible for transmission of COVID inside businesses. You see signs around not responsible or not liable for accidents or not responsible for accidents. So can we compare the two and have that be an escape for the businesses and you enter at your own risk? And that's kind of what we're discussing for masking itself is you wear one, you make your own decisions on your risk evaluation and so forth. So I think that would be a good thought in how to evaluate the risk and how businesses can mitigate between the two. And then just we need to also address just what makes Branson so great. Branson's so great because of the people and the individual businesses that have thrived over the years. People don't come to Branson because they love our government. So for the government to be putting a mandate in place, that's not why people come here. They don't want the government in the way making that decision. They come here because of the businesses and their decisions have got us to this point. So we need to also look at the businesses, the residents, the people, and what they've made, I think is a clear cut in how people voted in this last election. And I think that's a clear enough example of what the people in this city want. And if that's what we're after, we just need to look at the vote tally. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Dallin Hughes, 150 Tyler Street. I'd like to make a recommendation that when discussing these topics, we don't make unverifiable statements about people emailing and claiming that they want it one way or the other. Especially in cases like with the mask mandate, because that was proven false with the election. And on top of that, businesses don't need 48 hours for freedom. They need 48 hours for compliance. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Rose Wilcox. I am at 121 West River Mountain Boulevard in Hollister. I have a business here in Branson in the area. I'm about to bring almost 200 Christian single adults to Branson, and I've done this will be my 6th time. And everybody is excited to come here. And they have seen the changes that have been going on throughout the country to help us not have a mask. And I pay taxes, and I'm going to ask you all to consider strongly that we continue to move forward and have no masks for our communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dirk Myers, 118 West Hensley Street, Branson. I don't know about y'all, but it's really nice to see a balanced group up there. Mr. C, I know that you had mentioned a year ago when we did this thing to basically put the masks on. I had said initially, as somebody who works for major business, we were wearing these before you put down the mandate. We didn't need your help at the time. But you guys decided that you felt like it was important to put this in place. Branson has been taking care of people in the hospitality industry and service industry for a really long time without the government's assistance. I think it's time that we end this. In addition, Cody, to put some of your thoughts at rest, I work for a company that is a major corporation. We get our information from Dallas, and they tell us what we're going to do. We knew what we were going to do a year ago. We know what we're going to do tomorrow. We know what we'll do when the mandate is done. We don't need that time. I'm not saying that we will or won't mask, but I do know that they will make that decision long before. And we are operating in several different states. Every one of them knows what they're going to do at the time that it happens. So I would imagine that most major companies that are worth their salt already know what's going on. To answer the question of needing more time to receive emails, I had no problem getting in touch with Mr. Fenton when I knew he didn't have an email address with the city. It's social media, it's not super hard. We're ready to make this decision. We'd really like to end this thing. We've been cleaning up our restaurants and we've been cleaning up our hotels and making sure that everything is ready for these people because we love the people that come to Branson. We need you to trust us. I think the vote last week will tell you how we feel about the fact that you didn't trust us. And we're going to remember what happens tonight as well as what happens the rest of this year when we decide what we're going to do with the vote next year. Thank you.
My name is Barbara Melham, 272 Heritage Estates Road. Now y'all know where I live. You can come visit me. I own 2 businesses in Branson and I own 2 businesses in Hollister. So I'm kind of in a unique situation where 2 of my businesses are located in a city that had no mask mandate, and 2 of my businesses are located in Branson. Most of my customers in Hollister, the minute they walk through the door and they realize there is no mask mandate, take it off and say the words, "Thank God." As far as my businesses in Branson, I have the unique opportunity because I have Airbnb in Branson. So I have tourists coming in from all over the country. And the first thing they ask me is there a mask mandate? And I said, you know, it's up to you for the most part. I am a former United States Marine. And out of courtesy and respect for the businesses in Branson, which I absolutely love, I will wear a mask. It doesn't mean that I like wearing a mask, but I will wear it because my job is not to protect just myself, but to protect the businesses as well. Now, these businesses that are in Branson, when you're talking about the major corporations that are likely located all over the United States, Walmarts, Targets, and stuff like that, when I walk in there, I see probably 30% of the people not wearing masks. I see most of the employees with their masks down to about here. I think everybody is ready for this. And these people knew this was coming. They knew that like I said earlier, the mask mandate was on the chopping block. These people are already in tune with letting this thing go. And I'm just asking that you guys take a look at what's gone on for the last year. I know you, Cody, you had a very tough time with this decision because, you know, as business owners and a lawyer, you're looking out for their best interest from a legal standpoint. But all of us are prepared to move forward with this as business owners and as constituents. So we're just asking that you rule in this favor for us.
Thank you for serving.
Gary Groman, 350 South Wildwood Drive, apartment D10. While I would probably favor extending the mask ordinance to the original date, I would not use as a rationale some of the stuff I've heard here tonight. Clay hit it right on the head. All you got to do is take down a darn sign. If they can get ready for this in 48 hours, then they can adjust to this going out. Major corporations, does anybody really believe that major corporations are going to drastically change their position because Branson takes away the masking ordinance any more than they are for any other cities? Our school district has a policy. They will change their policy when their board votes on it, and I can't really conceive of a situation where if you take the masking ordinance away tonight and say it's not required, that is going to cause them much consternation at all. They'll meet, they'll vote on what they're going to do, and they'll make their own decision, just like we have to make our own decision here tonight. Please don't make the decision based on not having enough time. If 48 hours isn't enough time for a business to make a decision, then they shouldn't be in business. Thank you.
Doug Clark again at 121A St. Andrews. I never was for this from the very installation of it for a variety of reasons. A lot of them from basically persistent statements about what the mask was going to do, what the mask actually does, what type of mask filters, which one doesn't. And there's a lot of statistics that nobody was hearing on the regular media because they were cleaning it out of everything that had to do with that. The mask was ordained from above our territory here, and it was an international insertion. And I personally resent the fact that we are being governed by an outside entity that's basically a part of the United Nations that's setting this policy to our upper crust people that are in our upper end of our health industry. And they're all in collusion. I mean, the thing that amazes me is this stuff is so far out there, and if anybody looks a little bit, they can find it. It's not hidden. Masks do not protect you from anything whatsoever, and there's enough scientific evidence out there that tells you why. So, now I want to quote from the Bible here about what the Bible had to say about covering people's faces. Okay, Ezekiel 24:22. Part of this statement is, you shall not cover your lips nor eat bread of men. So basically what you're doing, concealing, and you're participating in a part of a ritual is what it is. And I suggest that you look part of this up and see what masks have been used for in history. It usually has to do with something evil, typically, because people conceal their face, they'll rob you, or they'll murder you, or they have some kind of a human sacrifice they will do with a mask. you know? And the people that invented all this stuff that we're doing are from that side of the coin, believe it or not. You know, they're diabolically evil. Part of this, like I said, is population control. And then the main organization that's involved in this is the World Health Organization. I brought this up here once before, and this is the guy that started it. He's the first Secretary General of the WHO. And coincidentally, he wasn't a medical doctor. He was a psychologist. And what psychologists do, they analyze propaganda to get you to change what your behavior is, and that's what they're doing to us. So I applaud all of you for at least examining the fact that you've seen what has happened here in Branson over all of this stuff that we've had to put up with, and you can't not, you know, it's like Reagan says, the government, if they tell you they're here to help you, don't believe it first, you know, and if let's just say that I would be sitting up there on a board like this, and somebody came in and said, oh, I wanted to talk about sustainability, or I wanted to talk about the health system. You need to drill down into it and figure out who is bringing in the stuff to the city that you're making your decisions on, because you would be surprised where it's coming from. And 90% of it is United Nations policy. It's gun control, education, health, you name it, they've got their fingers in it, and it's up to here in most public policy in the United States, and it's terrible. You cannot throw away our birthright in this country for guns. The whole Bill of Rights is structured to keep us protected from this collusion and tyranny that's going on with this. You know, and what I'm afraid of is because we've done this, is we're going to have a lot of people that are going to be dying from these shots. There isn't any question in my mind.
Excuse me, Doug. Are you in favor of this ordinance or against it?
I'm in favor of getting rid of the mask.
Thank you.
But the thing is, the information that we're getting, that we've made all these decisions on for a whole year, has been stilted by either people that are getting money for it to perpetrate it, or people on the upper end that are violating the laws of the country by being conflicted interest on patents and research, and they violated. I've got a 180-page thing on a lawsuit that's out there in the country right now that's probably going to drift down eventually to the local health departments and put some of these people in jail for everything that's been done here economically to us. They have colluded with the Chinese. You know, the Chinese started it more or less, but we handed over the technology to the Chinese through a variety of reasons. And you know, why are we doing business and why we're allowing the Chinese to have access to bioweapons?
Excuse me, Doug. The night's drawing late.
Okay.
I know you have great points. Now we're just trying to decide on this ordinance.
You can't allow an enemy to have access to your country and have access to technology that should not have been shared with the Chinese first. And guess what? Mr. Fauci and that whole group of people up there were in collusion with him, granting him money, transferring the technology out of our biolabs and moving it to China, and that's how it got there. But nobody wants to touch that with a 10-foot pole, because half of the people in the pipeline that are in public office here would be going to jail. That's my whole concern about it.
Thank you, Doug. Well, look who's here.
I appreciate flexible microphones. My name is Pearl Haining. Address is 1440 Branson, Highway 248, Branson, Missouri. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak tonight about some of the legal applications of this ordinance, and also the personal, practical applications as how it affects the citizens. In order to discuss the legal applications and parameters for this, we have to first understand what the role of government is. And that is defined in the Constitution of Missouri, Article 1, Section 2. This is something that 4 of you have just taken an oath to uphold. All persons are created equal and are entitled to equal rights and opportunity under the law, that to give security to these things is the principal office of government, and that when government does not confer this security, it fails in its chief design. The specific parameters and roles of government in a fourth-class city is found in Chapter 79 of the Revised Statutes of Missouri, Section 110, titled Mayor and Board Duties. And it says, the mayor and board of aldermen shall have power to enact and ordain any and all ordinances not repugnant to the Constitution and laws of the state. So you do have the right to enact laws, to create ordinances, but they cannot contradict existing statutes or the Constitution. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Section 380 of Chapter 79 regarding how to govern a fourth-class city. And Section 380 is where we find that you have the authority to create ordinances that will prevent or abate contagious diseases. However, there are some terms and conditions on that, because any ordinance that you enact to abate or prevent a contagious disease cannot contradict an existing statute. And we find a statute regarding public spaces, which is what this ordinance, this mask ordinance, governs, specifically referring to what you can or can't do in a public space. In fact, the specific ordinance that we're discussing tonight says that it is unlawful to enter a public space without a face covering. Well, what does the statutes of Missouri say about public spaces? That's found in the human rights portion of the Missouri statutes, Chapter 213, and we'll look at Section 65, says all persons shall be entitled to the full and equal use and enjoyment within this state of any place of public accommodation. And it is unlawful for any person, directly or indirectly, to attempt to refuse, withhold from, or deny any other person any of the accommodations in any place of public accommodation. So, going back to terms and conditions, we'll look at Section 110 of Chapter 213, which defines what this statute means by places of public accommodation. It says all places providing food, shelter, recreation, and amusement, including but not limited to a hotel, a restaurant, a gas station, a theater, or any public facility owned, operated, or managed by or on behalf of this state or any subdivision thereof, which would be places like the City Hall or the DMV. You cannot legally restrict access to any person, any of those places. So, when we look at this from a legal perspective, yes, you do have the authority to enact ordinances with the intent of preventing or abating the spread of contagious diseases. But any of those ordinances cannot restrict access to any place of public accommodation. That means that this ordinance restricting access without a face covering was illegal, unlawful, and totally unenforceable from the beginning. With that in mind, I would suggest that business owners ignore it immediately, in less than 48 hours. I would suggest that this board, out of respect for our police department, stop asking them to enforce a law that is unlawful, and that this board definitely repeal this ordinance because it has no authority. Speaking from a personal perspective, we hold these truths to be self-evident. It means I shouldn't have to be here explaining them. That all people are created equal. That means that my health is just as important as your health and every person that lives in Branson or comes to visit Branson. And if John Smith's doctor says you will be a healthier person if you wear a mask, or you will protect other people by wearing a mask, then John Smith had darn well better wear a mask. But if my doctor says to me, Pearl, you will be a healthier person, or the people around you will be healthier because you're healthier if you do not wear a mask, then it is my responsibility to every person in this room, in Branson, or any visitor of Branson. And it is my responsibility to my Creator that I not wear a mask. And I beg this board to repeal this ordinance that would dare to defy my responsibility to my Creator and the community that I love.
Thank you, Pearl.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to, because I do appreciate what Pearl had to say, but I think this had been litigated before as far as the legality of it. What we're talking about is doing away with it, not continuing it.
Yep, I agree. Thank you.
Brian Denham, 338 Bramble Lane. Your mask mandate that you're all speaking so highly of keeping would not allow that young lady to come and speak at the mask mandates because she cannot wear a mask. So you took her rights away. And I didn't hear any of you stand up and say, that's not right. You were all silent, each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
William Large, Bill, 235 Meadowbrook Lane, Branson, Missouri. I'm going to be real quick. I'm not going to be long-winded, but I think it's real clear what the vote said. I want to applaud Ruth for running and winning Ward 3, Clay Cooper for winning Ward 1. Mr. Fenton, I haven't met you yet, but I applaud you for running for it and doing it. I have not really ever been too involved in politics until the last year. And after watching the board, the way they basically ignored the citizens of Branson, the public opinion against the mask mandate. And I'm not talking about just the board, but we also have a city attorney that I believe that did that. And I really am urging you to listen to the people that voted this last election. I think it was clear and loud by the results. And I think it's going to be clear and loud in the next election. I'm in a unique position that I get to travel all over the country and meet a lot of different people. And I've met a lot of maskers, and I've met a lot of people that are against masks. But most people are pretty reasonable. And again, I've said before, I'm not against masks. If you want to wear a mask, wear one. If you don't want to wear one, that's a matter of choice. And then also, in Pearl's case, I'd like to give her a big shout out for Branson University sponsoring the forums that we had to help the elections. I thought that was really good. But it goes back to listening to the voters in Branson and the businesses. I'm a business owner. My son's a business owner. My nephew, I know quite a few businesses, and I've talked to quite a few tourists that come into this area. And I can tell you 90% of them are against the mask. So please take it into consideration what the people are telling you, and we're just done with it. We want it over and done with, and let us make our own choices. Contrary to what Mr. Say said, we can make our own choices. We don't need you making them for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Colton Schmidt, 164 Turtle Creek Drive, apartment B208. Since the amendment has passed regarding the 48 hours, I'd just like to say, if people don't think that 48 hours is enough, you know, it's plenty of time regarding especially corporate entities. Copernicus threw out there in 1543 that the sun doesn't revolve around the earth. I'd like to propose that the world doesn't revolve around Branson. Corporate businesses have had it in place long enough that they know when this gets, they've been dealing with this all over the country, around the world. They have it under control. They know what they're gonna do. March 23rd, I believe it was, we had the same discussion about cutting this off immediately. Businesses had it in mind then that they had to figure it out. It's been another couple of weeks. My guess is most of those businesses have figured it out since then. It's time to get this thing done and throw this away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Luke Johnson, 103 Galewood Drive. I'm a performer in a show here in Branson, and we live off of tourism, so if there is no mask mandate, some people have been concerned that that will negatively affect tourism. Well, we have had tour buses roll onto our theater parking lot, and I step on the bus to greet them, and no one's wearing a mask. And I say, I'm sorry, folks, we've got an ordinance here. And everyone gripes and pulls out their masks and puts it on. So I think people are ready. People walking out of the shows, they're not wearing their masks anyway. So it's not very enforceable for us to be asking everyone, 70% of our audience, to put on a mask after the show. So anyway. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion from Aldermen before we vote? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Denham,
Yes.
Gaines,
Yes.
Cooper. Yes. Fenton. Yes. Whitus.
Yes.
C.
Yes.
Your Honor, the vote is 6-0. It passes.
Thank you very much. I have no idea where I'm at.
It doesn't have a page. Oh, page 4 now?
Your Honor, I believe that you're going to ask for it to be read for a second.
Oh.
Or
Yeah.
somebody would like to do that?
What are we doing? Oh, Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 5979 for its final reading.
Second.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ruth. Any discussion from the audience? Any discussion from the board?
Just want to follow, Mr. Mayor. It says final reading due to. Somebody needs to state the reason is all.
Actually, I think I was instructed that that is optional. Did I misunderstand that? Madam Clerk?
No, it's however you would like to make that motion.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion, Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call vote? What?
Sorry, are we on Alderman discussion?
Oh, yes.
Sorry. I'll talk.
Thanks.
If I can.
There you go.
I saw something on social media, I guess on Facebook, on I think it was Thursday, Friday night. you know, one of my frustrations all along, and I don't fault anybody for this, I don't blame anybody for this, but one of the things that that frustrated me is, you know, what was our end game? You know, it's presumptuous to assume, at least in my opinion, it's presumptuous to assume a certain percentage of the population wants to be vaccinated, that we've got to achieve this number, you know, before we can do this. You know, I don't know. I look around for several weeks now. I've seen on social media where these vaccine clinics, you know, they're needing people to come in. I think we had a big vaccination clinic on April 1st and 2nd. They had 2,400 slots available. Day before, I think the sign up was around 700, and that's fine. Like I said, I support people being able to make that decision. But when I look at that, I see that as being less than a third of those slots, you know, being taken for this vaccination. So we can't, you know, I respect and I respect our medical professionals, and I understand what they're trying to do. I really and truly do. But I think we're just being presumptuous if we say, well, let's hold off. Let's get a certain percentage of the people vaccinated, because we don't know. I mean, we just don't know how many people want that. I look at it like, you know, if you go back to, I think it was January, February, when this vaccine first became available, and our governor, you know, did a tier system, you know, the phase 1, or it was like, somebody correct me on this, it was like phase 1, tiers 1, 2, and 3, I think, and now we're in the final phase where it's available for everybody. But in other words, the high-risk population, the folks that are at most risk of having a severe reaction to this virus, have had the opportunity to get a vaccination and have had that opportunity for quite some time. If they've chosen not to, I respect that, and I have no problem with that. Me personally, my wife is part of that group. I chose to get it. She wanted to get it, so I chose to get it. I did it out of support for her and my family, and that's just a personal decision I made. I see somebody shaking their head, and I'm sorry to disappoint you. That's just, again, it's a decision I made for my family. Point being, I did it, you know, I was able to get that a few weeks prior to it opening up for everybody, because this particular place, they said, hey, we need people to come get these shots. And so I look around, I've seen that people have an opportunity, they've had an opportunity for quite some time to do this and get this shot. The other thing that, you know, and I saw this, like I said, I think I saw this Thursday or Friday night, Springfield, I know we don't like to compare ourselves to Springfield, but Springfield has a tier system for how they're handling their mask mandate. And so you've got red tier, yellow tier, green tier, I think is how they do it. And they had, you know, clearly defined criteria to say, you know, without question, this is how we move to that next tier, right? So if we achieve, I think there was 3 goals in each tier. If we achieve 2 of these, then we'll move to the next tier. I know Springfield is unique, you know, and Branson's unique because obviously we're a tourist economy. We've got a different population than they do. But based on the criteria I saw in Springfield and the 2 of the 3 criteria you'd have to meet in order for their mask mandate to go away, I see Branson is currently meeting those criteria. I wish from the beginning we would have had a sort of, you know, what's our goal here? What kind of progress are we trying to make? We can't change that fact. But as I look at it today, I've watched the Taney County Health Department numbers. I've tried to be mindful of the fact that, you know, of their position. I really, you know, again, I know that's not a popular thing to say, but I am trying to be mindful of that. But as I see it, you know, I look at our 7-day daily average. It's hovered somewhere around 2 or 3, I think, positive rates for going back to like March 15th, which tells me, you know, a few things. One, we flattened the curve. We're getting ahead of this thing. This virus is hopefully going to be behind us soon, and we're going to be able to talk about a whole lot more different things, you know, here pretty soon, hopefully. That also tells me, though, that the vaccinations are getting out. You know, whatever's working is working. Our hospitalizations are down. You know, I think prior to a few days ago, we had nobody in the hospital. We have a few people now. So for me personally, again, setting aside politics and things like this, the question I've been, sort of internally trying to figure out is, am I comfortable with making this decision, realizing this is more than just me? This is an entire community. This is millions of people that come here every year. Am I comfortable making that decision based on the numbers that I'm seeing? And so, that's kind of where, how I'm coming to my conclusion tonight. So for anybody that cares or is interested, so.
Everybody cares.
Mayor, Matt, can I say something too?
Sure.
I mean, and I feel like for our business, we're going to continue, for my show, personally, we'll continue to social distance for a while, give people the option, the chance to spread out some, and we're currently doing 2 seats to each side and staggering so nobody's in front or back of, and I feel like that gives people a little comfort zone. Some of the people don't really care if they're elbow to elbow, but I figure, let's spread them out, give people some space, and we're probably going to continue to do that for quite a while. Just thought I'd throw that in there, and I think a lot of businesses will probably do that for a while.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call vote?
Denham,
Yes.
Gaines,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Benton,
Yes.
Whitus,
Yes.
C.
Yes.
The vote is 6-0 to go ahead and read this for the final reading.
Now, we're going to vote.
No, we need to put it on the floor for a final reading.
You need to put it on the floor for a final reading.
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 5979, an ordinance repealing Ordinance Number 2021-0032 and amending Chapter 58, Article 10 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to communicable diseases and face coverings.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Who took that motion? I'm sorry. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any comments from the audience? Seeing none, are there any comments from the Board of Aldermen?
Yes, sir. The previous amendment applies to this as well, the discussion of the 48 hours. I just didn't hear it in the motion.
Oh, it is the final reading of that amended bill. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
correct.
The amended bill, yes. Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call vote?
Denham,
Yes.
Gaines,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Benton,
Yes.
Whitus,
Yes.
C.
Yes.
The vote is 6-0 and the final reading passes.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction to the next item?
Your Honor, this is a public hearing and first reading of Bill Number 5980, an ordinance approving annexation of the property located at 1487 North State Highway 265, Branson, Missouri.
Now, wait a minute, we gotta have the mass exodus.
Hey, this is the good stuff. Come on now, we're annexing a piece of property.
Thank you all for coming.
You have heard the final reading.
Your Honor, we
Yes.
will need to first open this public hearing.
Oh, I knew that. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. It does,
And have
actually, we'll have a staff report from Joel Hornickel. I knew that.
Mayor, members of the
Joel.
board, good evening. This is an annexation of a property on the southwest part of town. The petition was brought before the board at their last meeting for acknowledgement, which they did. So now we've moved on to the first reading public hearing. This property is along the west side of State Highway 265, just north of Chateau on the Lake, if you're familiar with this area. The developer of this property has had a lot of success with a nightly rental component on their Chateau Cove and then into their Chateau Mountain development. And they're continuing to move that development to the north, which is why they're asking for this property to be annexed. Staff, as they always do, have reviewed this request. It is contiguous with the city limits. and there will be minimal impact created from the annexation of this property on city services. As part of our normal review, we do look at costs and revenue to the city. However, I did want to take the opportunity to go through that this evening, just in a little bit more detail. So we've got two columns here. On the left side, these are costs to the city, and on the right side, we have revenues to the city. Just going through the lists of cost, water, zero, as the water provider for this property is Missouri American Water. So again, no cost to the city there. For sewer, there would be no cost to the city, as the main will be extended by the developer, so those costs will be, again, by the developer. Going on to roads, as the roads are anticipated to be private within this development, there will be no cost to the city for that. And then we have parks, public safety, and fire. For parks and public safety, what we do is we look at those funds expenditures for the year, and then we divide those by acreage. So what we can do is we can come up with an amount, $215 per acre for parks and $800 per acre for public safety, on those costs that we can anticipate this development costing the city. Again, very general, not specific, very general. So we can look at this property, which is over 5 acres, and anticipate about a $1,130 annually for parks, cost to the city, and about $4,200 for public safety, being police and fire. We have an extra bullet point for fire here at the bottom because we have an agreement with Western Taney County Fire District to reimburse them anytime a property from their district is annexed into the city limits of Branson. That's a 5-year term with us paying the most amount the first year, and then over the course of the next 5 years, it stair steps down by 20%. So while the first year is $4,500 for this particular property based on its size and anticipated development, over 5 years, we would anticipate that amount to be $13,575. So to kind of spell that out across a year and 5 years, we have a cost to the city for 1 year of $9,830, and then over 5 years, due mainly to the Western Taney County reimbursement of $40,225. Then going over to the revenues, it's fairly simple. For sewer, we have charges and fees for the time of connection, and that is mainly to recover our costs for capacity within our system. Then we have monthly fees for that sewer service, again, because water is provided by American Missouri Water. We have this fee for sewer, and that takes care of our basic operations and maintenance of the system. We do have the tourism tax, which benefits those costs to stay as low as they have as well. Then with taxes, this property, as it will be a continuation of the Chateau Cove and Chateau Mountain development, we collect as a city property, transportation, public safety, and tourism taxes. Again, based on the acreage and a similar development, Chateau Cove, that has been operating for at least a year, we're able to, again, roughly approximate guess what our revenues will be for these tax brackets, and that would be $42,000 per year. So looking at, again, the breakdown of a year or 5 years, we're anticipating revenues to the city of $42,000 a year, plus the undetermined amount of sewer charges and fees to be collected for development. And in 5 years, it'd be $210,000, plus again, the undetermined charges and fees. So obviously this is a huge amount of money compared to the cost of the city. So we view it as a benefit, which is why we recommend approval. All of these are broken down by acreage. I also have a couple of bullet points down here in the bottom right about assessed value. Assessed value, roughly, if it hits $175,000 per acre, should achieve equalization for the city's costs. Based on the similar development type of this area for this developer, they have already achieved an assessment of $300,000 per acre. So again, this reinforces staff's recommendation. We believe this will be a community benefit to annex this property into the city limits. Happy to answer any questions.
Joel, thank you so much for doing that.
You're welcome.
For the public, so you'll know, I've asked Joel if when we consider annexing properties in, to be fiscally responsible, to take a look at these numbers as we make these decisions.
Yep.
Thank you so much for doing that. That's
You're welcome.
Very thorough.
It was huge help from finance. They provided a lot of the information, as well as the utilities department and our police and fire departments. It's a collective effort on a lot of these items, and unfortunately that isn't shown when one of us is standing up here, but it truly is a multiple department effort to bring this information to you.
Very appreciative. do I open up for public comment now?
We are taking public hearing comments. We're
Oh.
in the middle of a public hearing right now.
So we've opened a public hearing.
We have a public hearing and
Yeah.
taking comments during the public hearing on this item.
Are there any public comments on this item?
Bodie Yeager, 106 South Drive, Branson, Missouri. Looking back at the other one, and I brought up raised questions or concerns, and I've never really gotten clarification. But as far as our tourism tax is concerned, is everybody wanted to argue that if the tourism didn't help pay their fair share, that all of the water sewer expenses would come out of the people. I look at the last page that was up there, and it said that zero money was going to be made on the sewer. My question that I have is, when they pay their water and sewer bills, are they paying basically their cost or cost plus, or do they not even cover and pay for what their usage is? So will there be more expenses out of the city based upon their water and sewer usage, or do they at least cover their cost? With that being said, that goes for the rest of our city. Is me as a homeowner, am I paying for my full usage and all my water and sewer, or does that have to be compensated by the tourism tax? Does that kind of make sense?
I will do my best to answer, and I'm sure Kendall Powell will join me if I don't do a good job. But my understanding is your monthly bills go a long ways in helping to recover our annual maintenance and operation costs, but the tourism tax does help to supplement that. So you do not, when you pay a monthly bill, cover that entire cost. The tourism tax, in addition to your monthly fee, helps to cover that cost.
I guess to kind of tag on to that is my mindset, and anybody that cares to listen to how I view it, is we have all these tourists coming in. People say that they're not paying their fair share of the water and sewer. Well, technically, when they come here, they're making us 3 times as much in tax revenue in general, and that should be compensating, not, let alone the additional 4% that we're getting for tourism tax. So where is all of that abundance money that should be covering that expense, let alone when they stay at hotel and stuff, those businesses should be budgeting for their water and sewer when they get those usages and stuff when somebody's staying at their residence. So I just wanted to make sure that whatever somebody's using is at least covering their expenses and not taking from the rest of the pot and creating more of a debt problem. Thank you.
Bo, I think my understanding is the tourism tax is for capital improvements, so we can add stormwater detentions, sewer treatment plants, roads, water lines. So the tourism tax, 75% of that goes for capital improvements. The fees that we charge the public and the commercial properties, it's my understanding that the majority of the cost of that service is covered by the fees. However, it is supplemented by the tourism tax, which there again has the tourist pay for a portion of our usage, which is one of the primary reasons of our tourism tax.
But for any other city, doesn't the general sales tax and everything supposed to compensate for that? So we have like 5 times the amount of tax is what a town our size would be. And yes, I know we have lots of tourism, but we have a lot more tax than our size. So I just view it as it should be coming out of that general sales tax and our tax revenue, but somehow still doesn't cover.
Yeah, but there again, if you think about it, we're a community of give or take 12,000 people. We have to have water and sewer and roads and sidewalks and all the infrastructure for a city that would be 80,000 in size because of the number of tourists that we're attracting here. So the tourism tax is designed to be paid, the lion's share of it, to be paid by the tourist, because a community of 12,000 wouldn't need all these water towers, these big sewer treatment plants. So they wouldn't have the expenses that our little town has.
Sure. In comparison, and I haven't looked up numbers, what does a town of anywhere from 60 to 80,000 produce in taxes? Our 12,000, we produce 5 times the average of what our general town would produce. And that's where my confusion might be, and
Can we visit on that
absolutely,
at another time?
yes.
Thank you.
Love to. Thank you.
We're still in a public hearing. Any other questions? Any questions from the alderman?
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. So Joel, I will take a wild guess, and this is going to be HDR?
That's the request they've submitted.
Gotcha. So that'll come before P and Z, or is that
Correct.
as
It's
normal?
It's on the Planning Commission's agenda for their May meeting.
Right.
And then depending on the outcome of that meeting, you all would see it, probably the second meeting in May.
Gotcha. And then the deal with the Western Taney Fire, does that alleviate them from providing mutual aid, or is that?
I don't believe so. It's just an agreement. Obviously, we're taking away some revenue from them because a portion of any property's tax gets divided up based on that levy amount. And so right now, that amount, when it's in the county, is going to help fund Western Taney County's fire department and their operation.
Gotcha.
So when they annex into the city, Western Taney County loses that money.
Right.
So there was an agreement over 5 years to transition those costs so Western could deal with that change to their annual budget, if you will.
Gotcha. And have they submitted us, a plat or sort of a?
No, not at this time. Again, usually the typical process that we work with developers on is to handle annexation first, and then move on to zoning of the property, subdivision if they choose to go down that route, and then to building permits and development.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other alderman?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Joel, the roadways there, are any of those city streets around the development, Safari Road, Skyline, is that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
They have not been accepted by the city at this time, and they're maintained by the county.
Okay. Just wondering, with that amount of traffic on there, who's going to be responsible for the roads and how that's going to work?
The big share of the traffic through this area will continue to be Missouri State Highway 265, and as a Missouri State Highway, they will continue to maintain that.
Okay.
Any other alderman?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just 2 questions, Joel. Western Taney County Fire would still respond during this time frame, regardless of whether we'd be reimbursing them the $4-some-odd thousand or not, since it's on that edge?
I believe at time of annexation, it becomes ours to take care of. However, we do have mutual agreements in place, so given its location, I'm sure they will respond along with us if necessary.
The other question, but would there be any overreaching reasons why we wouldn't want to access or annex this particular property?
Again, going through the information we've shared tonight, staff does recommend approval.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could just add on to a little bit what Joel said. We have actually a standard agreement with Western Taney County that they are our automatic responder to certain parts of our city and believe me, and this is for my newest alderman at the other end, our biggest push that we are having in the public safety area is to get a new fire station down there that we've got our tax for. Now we've got to get it going. We're hoping our economy, which was said earlier, March was amazing here.
Yes.
You haven't seen the tax numbers yet, but it was amazing. April is going that way. We are very hopeful that we can go back to Standards & Poor, our bond market, and say, see, we did the right thing. We told you we would. They kind of put us in a hiatus, and we're ready to go. Please let us get back into the market where we can get that fire station built. But right now, Western Taney County is actually responding to parts of our community automatically.
Thank you.
I have some questions. Hi, Joel. Hi. Do you happen to know the property just south of the subject property when it was annexed?
I believe it was about a year ago,
Okay.
last spring.
Okay, and when we bring properties in, if they've been approved for anything at the county, Or they say, you know, they let you know, I've been approved for this project or that project. Do you request all the information so that you can bring that in as?
We don't work directly with the county on that. We tend to work closer with the person requesting the annexation through that process and work with them on that process of determination of what they want to do, how they want to do it, what the zoning they want. So that's the way we've gone about it as opposed to going through the county for that information.
Okay, yeah, well, I
And-
just
and
meant, like, if if the property's been approved for something, if buffering would have been required in the minutes, that type of thing.
Sure, yep.
Because and then have any fees been waived for this property or any fees
There's been no
proposed to be
discussions about
waived?
fees about this particular project, no.
Okay, so as of right now, there's no fees that have been waived?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We can't have any more questions. I've ran out of aldermen.
Clay didn't say anything. What happened?
That needs to be on
I
camera.
saw the chart. I mean, expenses versus revenue kind of looked like a no-brainer to me.
I'll try to save him. Hearing no more comments, Madam Clerk, would you call a roll call vote?
Your Honor, Your Honor, we are closing a public hearing at this time.
Thank you. First meeting, first public hearing.
And we've had the first reading of Bill number 5980, so we'll need a motion at this time to put it on the floor.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Comments? Anybody have comments?
Where's the ribs?
There's a great comment right there. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you take a roll call vote?
Your Honor, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenna,
Yes.
Gaines,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Benton,
Yes.
Whitus,
Yes.
Z.
Yes.
The vote is 6-0 and it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
I believe that takes us to our alderman reports. Alderman Denham?
I consider it a great honor to serve the citizens of Branson. My goal after retirement was to give back to the community in which I live, so here I am, and tonight is bringing me a lot of joy. I would like to congratulate our new mayor, Larry Milton, and Alderman Cooper, and Alderman Fenton. I look forward to working side by side with Alderman C., Skanes, and Whitus. All of us together can move Branson in a united, positive direction where there are endless opportunities. I want to say thank you to my husband, Brian, for his support, our kids, our grandkids, family and friends, Representative Brian Seitz for his endorsement, and of course, his wife, Valerie, and Taylor. And a great thank you to Daniel Seitz for his tireless support, his expert guidance. I know that all of us want to see Branson not only succeed, but to flourish. And those who have the most investment in Branson's success are our citizens. I am so very blessed that I was able to meet so many fantastic people who not only voted for me, but who supported me along the campaign road. Thank you to each and every one of you for door knocking, putting up signs, your encouraging words, calls, emails, coffee chats, and taking down signs. My little grandson, who's 7 weeks old, was my youngest supporter. And midway, I met a lovely young lady named Wendy. And I believe I have a friend here who chose to celebrate his 89th birthday here at City Hall instead of being anywhere else so he could congratulate the new board. I enjoyed meeting you, Richard Davis. Would you please stand up so we can recognize you for your 89th birthday? Thank you, that's it.
Alderman Skanes?
I want to congratulate each one of you that won your election. I appreciate your service. These are good times for Branson. You've seen the tourism district's numbers, which were very encouraging, 8% and 9% up. City of Branson's tourism tax is trending way up. We're going to come out of this, and we're going to come out of it better. We are going to come out of it better. But I want to thank each one of you for your service and for everybody's comments and tonight, whether I agreed with them or not. I appreciate you, and I thank you for coming out and showing the intestinal fortitude to get up in front of us and take us on. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Cooper?
I just want to say it's good to be, well, actually, I'm looking forward to the new meme tomorrow morning with
You won't be kissing me.
with me and my cowboy hat. I'm going to have some new cowboy hat memes online tomorrow, so y'all tune in for that. But no, I was told that I was a one-issue candidate. All I cared about was the mask mandate, and that is the farthest thing from the truth. Is that what got me fired up and inspired me to run? Absolutely. But like I said, I've been living here 35 years. I've raised my kids. They're in public school here. My wife and I own a business on the Strip, and we have 90 employees. And that might have been the first annexation that I've ever voted on, but I'm here to learn. I can see numbers and see that if you're bringing in more money than you're spending, that's a good thing. It's not hard to. I have employees, and we pay bills, and we have expenses and cost, and I ain't no dummy. I'll just put it like that. So I'm here to serve, and I look forward to serving and doing everything I can to serve with this board and make decisions that keep God in the spotlight and make the best decisions that we can to better our community and the citizens that live here. So thanks for having me.
Alderman Fenton?
Thank you. So I'll start by thanking my wife, Casey, who's out in the audience. She probably had no idea what the heck she was signing up for when I decided to do this. So thank you for supporting me, as always. Thank you for being here. To my children, you better not be watching. You better be asleep. It's past your bedtime. No, I have two daughters who I love greatly, Addie and Emma. Daddy loves you. I'll see you in the morning. I guess I won't see you tonight, but I'll see you in the morning. To my parents who were here, my neighbor Neil, to everybody that voted for me, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really and truly appreciate it. I know you didn't have a choice, right? You didn't have a whole lot of options, but that's all right. I still appreciate you. It would have been pretty easy to, when you got to that portion on the ballot, to just skip past my name. So it means a lot to me that you took the time to at least fill in that box. So for what that's worth, I really am truly grateful. To Lisa, thanks for your training last week. I think yes. We all are appreciative of you and sort of holding our hand through this. It's probably obvious from tonight. I'm not a politician. I've never been in a position like this. To Mayor Milton, Alderman Cooper, Alderman Denham, congratulations to you guys. I am also looking forward to serving with you. Alderman C. Whitus Gaines. Yeah. There he is. I couldn't see him. I look forward to serving with you guys. I appreciate the guidance that everybody's offered. Appreciate everybody being willing to reach out and chat and always be available. To everybody in our community, you're hearing the tourism numbers, you're hearing the tax numbers. Branson is going to be stronger than ever. We're going to have an awesome year. We're open. We're ready for people. We're ready for a great summer. And I'm along for the ride and looking forward to it. So thank you all. Thank you to everybody up here, the police officers that were here tonight. I appreciate you guys, staff, everybody that stayed late, everybody that showed up to speak. You saw me shaking down there, right? I keep thinking they're gonna edit that out and not put me on TV, but I suspect I'll be a meme as well, right? It's not easy to get up in front of the public and do this and to share your thoughts and to share. It's not always easy to be out in the public like that. So I commend you all. I thank you for showing up and sharing those comments. If you're shaking like me, we'll have something we can chat about later. So thank you again, and I'll yield the floor. Thank you.
Alderman Whitus?
I just want to welcome the new folks and appreciate your willingness to serve, and I'll leave it at that.
Alderman
Yeah, I'm going to keep it pretty short, too. So, all I can say is I'm really glad that we closed the door on this. It's been a long time coming. I don't think there's anybody more happy up here than me, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Administrator Dobbins, welcome back to the dais.
I was going to say thank you. I have been gone for a little while, getting a new knee put in. I do not recommend it. It is a pleasure to sit here, and I'm going to give you some advice from a guy that's been in city government for 42 years. This city will only be as good as your leadership and your decision-making. The staff is here to serve you, and that's what we do our darndest at. But we need, honestly need, a united voice. And I applaud you all for the way you've handled yourselves tonight, and I want to thank you for that. I would, before I don't want to be remiss, I want to expand upon something that was said a little bit earlier tonight, and that is I want to commend our police department. I want to commend our fire department. I want to commend our utilities department. I want to commend our public works department and the Taney County Sheriff's Office. We had a 3-year-old little boy that disappeared at 4:30 in the morning. His mother and father were down here vacationing, and he decided to go for a walk. And I see a lot of mothers in this room that feel that. I'm privileged, was privileged to be able to listen and see the teamwork displayed by all of those organizations to come together as one and find that young man sleeping he got up into a truck somehow and pulled up, there were dirty clothes in it, and he pulled him up over himself to sleep. But they found that little boy and they got him back to his mother, and her face was something that you'll never forget. The dedication and the professionalism of those folks was amazing. And like I said, I've been a cop for 40 years. There's nothing that touches us more than our children, and that was awesome, and they are to be commended for that. And a little bit earlier, you heard about Melody, her description, but Melody was in charge of our census operations for this year, and I want you to know that we came in ahead of the national average in the number of people that responded to the census, and they've sent Melody a really nice lesson for leading that charge, and I want to thank her for that.
Very nice.
That is all I have, Mr. Mayor. Have a good night.
Thank you. On that note, I'd also like to thank Karen Best. I know she worked hard on the census also. It's great to hear we had a great turnout on that. I want to thank this board for having a healthy debate which makes better decisions, and I want to thank the board for coming together on the mask issue. I made a prepared statement because sometimes I'm accused of rambling and going on and on. So I limited myself. I'll start off with, I did it with what Ruth said. The voter turnout for the city of Branson, take my hat off. 25% voter turnout. The actual number was 24.82. I'm going to call it 25. That's a great, great number. The people have spoken, and the city has heard your voices loud and clear. Very briefly, my immediate plans are as follows. We will show the community the respect they deserve. The community will have input on decisions made at your city hall, As your mayor, I will form public committees and ambassadors to address the concerns that I've heard from you, including the homeless and extended stay issues, our public safety tax oversight, our police fire department, desperately needed workforce, and many more. We will drill down into city finances and discover ways to spend your tax dollars more efficiently. As of tonight, the previous mayor's decorum rules have expired. This mayor will work tirelessly with your Board of Aldermen to provide them with as much information as possible to find common ground. This form of government is very healthy. It is important to have different points of view. It is okay to agree to disagree. That's what makes a healthy board. While we will not all agree on some things, I will encourage respect for each other, listen openly to opposing points of view with the goal of making the best decisions for you, our community. I will end with this. This Board of Aldermen is in one boat. When we can all row in the same direction, we will accomplish good things. When we add the community into our boat and we all row in the same direction, we will accomplish great things. I am so excited to be your mayor and help take Branson to the next level. I sincerely thank you. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move. Second.
Motion second made. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Denham.
Yes.
Skanes.
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
Benton.
Yes.
Whitus.
Yes.
C.
Affirmative.
Your Honor, the vote is 6-0.
We are now adjourned. Thank you very much. Ah.